We are here, two teams in Group A facing elimination. It is IG and Winstrike. I'm Godstream is Kevin. What do you make of these two teams and where they're at right now?
Well, it was maybe not super unexpected. Winstrike making the CIS qualifier entrance. They have had some decent results in the last couple of months, and they've also been at a pretty weak win rate from the start of the group stage. But they did get a lot of wins and did very well in the last couple of matches. So at the end of it, I think they have 5 wins total or something like that. IG sitting at the same position, so probably disappointing for IG. For
Yeah.
Winstrike, doing better, but still somebody's got to get knocked out of each group.
Yeah, they both ended 4 and 12, and Winstrike were so close to getting that fifth win. That game two against OG, it's got to still be on their minds a little bit because of just how far ahead they were and the fact that it kind of was in their control. So hopefully they put that one behind them. As for IG, they have some kind words to say towards OG, who managed to keep them in the tournament. But right now their focus is on taking down the team on the other side of the map from them.
And Winstrike looked quite strong actually in the OG series. I don't think we've covered a Winstrike game yet of the tournament, but in that series against OG at least they definitely made OG look pretty weak in a lot of occasions. Their draft were strong. They were very aggressive most of the time. It was very effective.
Yeah, as for IG, they haven't actually played today, so that's. I don't know. Do you think it's a good thing having a day off, not playing a game, and just getting to sit back? It was probably stressful because you're watching the other games and seeing what's going on. But
I think it's probably very stressful considering they weren't there, didn't have their own destiny. So maybe a little disappointed. Maybe they got a little excited with the OG win, perhaps.
yeah, you got to imagine they were cheering on like fans do watching their favorite team. They would have been ecstatic when OG won at the end because that's one
Yeah,
of those. There's probably points that game where they were just like, we're out of TI. Like we won 4 games in groups and we're still eliminated.
yeah.
But no, they of course do get that kind of second chance. So maybe it was a bit of an out for them. We'll see how they do here. Q, the drafter, former TI runner up, and we'll see how him and his team can do up against the drafting of Silent, the carry player. Team Winstrike, who are going to go for a first pick Enchantress, something a few teams have been doing. We've seen this from
Yeah.
EG, we've seen this from Newbie a bit.
It seems like the junglers are still pretty effective. Enchantress and Chen kind of on equal level right now. And I've seen a lot of teams ban them in the first phase. Silencer as well has seemed to be kind of like one of the big support openers. And then on the other side, IO banned, Wyvern has been strong, and lots of Wraith King too. Tiny's also been a pretty big core. Kind of depends on what teams pick him, I guess. But sometimes we do see him banned in first phase, but he makes it through.
Yep. So Tiny, I feel like one of the cores that does better against Enchantress. Not necessarily going to have to lane against it, but
Uh-huh.
you've got good new combo. You've got the tree throw itself that you don't really care about the untouchable as much, and the burst damage means you're not as scared of the healing capabilities of Enchantress in lane.
With that said, though, I think it comes down to what the game is like. If the Tiny is moderately ahead, it can be really effective because then you can come along and get a burst kill. But if Enchantress is having a good game, it might be a little harder
Yeah.
to score that kill. So it's good med. But as a whole, Tiny seems to be one of the cores that is just pretty safe to throw in the lane, and no matter what, he's going to be okay.
Venge, pretty safe support. We've seen this get picked up in that 5 position role time and time again. I believe it still remains the most picked hero by a pretty significant margin. 7 picks over the second place Mirana at the time being.
And Necro, another core that's been popular, very good for securing kills on heroes once they initiate, and also winning lanes. I think we have seen a decent amount of Necro matching up against Tiny in lanes, so maybe that's one of the solutions there against him. But with Venge in the game, can always save cores. That seems to be really important in some of these late game fights. Or you can do cool things like have one ally with a stun prep for the swap, and then instantly with the swap you get an instant initiation where somebody's out of position. That can be really effective too. But Venge is kind of good at all stages of the game, basically.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, Necrophos picked up in the second pick when you have first pick. I like this because you can ban some of those pesky counters if needed. Bloodseeker taken out. Pretty good counter with the silence. You can rupture to keep him in place. You blood right him. And the pure damage of all these spells is going to, of course, not worry too much about the Ghost Shroud.
I think it's a little bit more about Enchantress, perhaps.
Okay.
Maybe it goes back and forth. We saw some cases where Bloodseeker was pressured by Enchant, but I do still kind of see some of the advantages of having a BS in that case.
Yep. And Necro is also a hero Winstrike have played quite a bit. They've had 3 games of him in their series so far. Their first Enchantress pick, however. So doing something different in their elimination. It is a best of 3. I like this. It feels like we get a whole series to tell the story of who's going home, because elimination, that's, it's sad. It's sad we say goodbye to Pain Gaming today, the one SA representative, but of course somebody has to be going home, and they get a full series to kind of make their last case for them being at the main event.
Yep, and we have lots of time today. I mean, we only had 3 sets of games instead of 5, I think, for the other days, so
Yep.
we're technically just a little ahead of schedule here, although we have had some decently long games. But
Yep.
at least we'll know that at the end of the series that whoever goes home here probably deserves to go home.
Yeah, it won't feel like, oh, we lost a BO1 and we're eliminated. What is
No,
this?
that's for after this match.
Yeah, that's for the main teams of the main event get to feel that way.
Yes, so the winner of this best of 3 gets to then play, but that feels weird. Actually. It's kind of out of order, It's
Yeah,
like,
that's funny. The Pugnet is the band I was expecting after the Necro pick, probably one of the best counters in the game for him. Since Necro doesn't have any good way to stop the life drain, you don't really want to commit your ultimate on a full HP Pugnet just to stop life drain from coming out, and will amp up that life drain damage if you do pop Ghost Shroud to try to get some of your heals off.
yeah, and really good against Enchantress as well, honestly.
Absolutely.
Like, you can decrep whoever she's throwing spears at. The Nether Ward will reflect a decent amount of damage. You can threaten her as well. She's going to be forced by more magic resistance. So those all make a lot of sense, I think. The Drow's seen some decent success so far at the tournament, so not too surprised to see that there get taken out. And a Life Stealer, actually. A bit interesting. What's up with that?
Was just immediately taking a look. Is that something they've been playing? It does not seem like it. None of Winstrike's games have had Lifestealer so far.
Okay.
Historically, it was one of those heroes that was played against Tiny. When there was a Tiny meta, Lifestealer was like, this big tanky Tiny. Lifestealer pretty good. This percent-based Feast can work pretty well against him. You can chomp him down. And they also may be picking heroes that, in the next stage, that Lifestealer is good against. Shaker, theoretically one of them. It is probably a 4-position Shaker, I got to imagine.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then they must really know for sure what they're going into this with, and that's, I guess, one of the benefits of getting to watch the OG Winstrike series. Not only was it the match that determined whether or not you have to play tiebreakers, but you also get to watch the enemy team. I'm sure that helped a little bit. So I'm sure that they've had a lot of planning going on, and those were a little bit earlier in the day too. There was another at least hour, 2 hours after that match that they've had to prep for this game. So this is not terrible for either team, but probably a little better for IG getting to watch Winstrike. So maybe have something up their sleeve that Lifesteal would have been really good against.
All right, we'll see what Winstrike can respond to when they see this Shaker. It doesn't really reveal all too much. As for Winstrike, I'm curious whether this Ench is going to be a core or support. We've seen, I would say, more of the core Enchantress, but there has been some no-tail support Ench. Not sure if anyone else has. And Winstrike, their 4-position player, No Fear, is one of those guys who plays the junglers very well. He's a Chen player, he's an Ench player, so I could see this going either way for them.
I think the guy that impressed me most in those last games was Non Grata. He had
he's
played an Axe, and I don't remember what the second game which hero he played. Earthshaker, I think. He played super good both matches.
Well, that answers the question. I believe it could be a 5-position Ench, as said. No Tail played it in the 5 role, so Tusk is going to be in No Fear's hands. This is, I'd say, one of his best heroes, and something he's going to be very comfortable on, as the draft does now develop into IG's hands, where they will have to be picking a core of some kind. Tiny, that flexible core that can play all 3 lanes. Partly why it is, I'd say, a common, popular first to pick, but this next hero is going to perhaps reveal a bit more about what IG want to do.
What do you feel about the Tusk right now? I mean, there's not that many defensive things that he's going to want to protect against. I mean, potentially you could save somebody from a chain stun, or maybe somebody gets bursted down, or maybe Tiny just maybe feels weak against Tusk. You could argue he attacks slow, so you're always going to have Sigil up. You don't have to worry about that. He's he's a little burstable, but Tiny's disable isn't always the most reliable.
Yep.
Anything like that is just safe at this point.
Yeah, I think it's safe. I think it's comfort as well. Like, you're playing one of the most important series of your life for a lot of these players, many of whom have not played at TI before. I believe 3 of them haven't. I always want to fly in silent being the exceptions. I think you want to put a guy like No Fear, who's maybe a bit more stressed out than normal, on something he's going to be comfortable with. And it is a strong hero. Pair it with an Enchantress, in lane, you shard them in, Enchantress gets to keep right-clicking them.
That's true.
It's good stuff.
Chase longer. Defensively, I actually like it a lot for Necrophos, because a lot of teams do try to kill that hero towards the beginning of fights.
Yep.
And sometimes his Ghost Shroud alone isn't going to be enough. And a Witch Doctor.
Ooh.
Okay.
It looks a bit better now, because also if someone gets arrowed, you can, snowball to try and save them by some time.
Yep. absolutely does look better. Witch Doctor hasn't been picked that much so far in at TI group stages, but the hero's kind of been on a big streak the last like 6 months. There was a period where people realize a Maledict level 1 is just kind of broken. Then they nerf that all the way to 50 seconds from 20. And then they're like, okay, well, Maledict's no good. Let's just get your heal at level 1. And then they just use that to offset trading with enemy heroes. So that's also been nerfed a little bit. And since then, players just really focusing on other supports, but still seems to be what Winstrike wants. And they've got a lot of heals this game, actually. Witch Doctor, Necro, and Enchant.
Oh, I wonder
Don't
if
know
they
if
are.
that'll mean anything. But
Yeah, are we seeing some kind of push-oriented strat? Right now, it doesn't really look like it. It just looked like they've got strong lanes. They don't have that hero that's going to bring down buildings that effectively. Enchantress can early on. We see that 5-minute double siege creep push. There's the building hitter, and that's a hero
Yep.
Winstrike played at least one game on, and it may have been one of their wins, in fact, as well. They won a game with Lycan already at this tournament, so a smart ban coming out from IG.
Yeah, because you're absolutely right. Something like a Drow or the Lycan, they need the tower hitter, and something that can group up and push is certainly what they need. So, not
Definitely the like fast pushes would be the Lycan, the Drow. There's still like slow pushes like DK in the pool if they want to go that route.
or maybe they could go something. I think they need something a lot higher physical damage than that, probably. Because right now they're kind of lacking carry potential. They're going to burst with Necrophos. They're going to have Enchantress right-clicking, but if Enchant gets behind, it just feels like they don't have a carry in some ways. Like maybe an SF or something
SF, yeah, and then
could
there's
make up for it.
from the safe lane you could talk like Lunas, Terrorblades, these kind of heroes maybe.
It's great. Those would be good substitutions to tower hitters.
There's a lot of nuke damage zone. That's where those heroes look a little bit scary when you see like Tiny Shaker Mirana on the other team. There's a Venge swap to get you out of position, so it could be tricky as well. But we'll see what Winstrike have in mind. There is that flexibility where Necro can go mid or safe lane, so they have a whole wide array of heroes they can consider.
So Winstrike forcing the last pick here. That's going to give Invictus Gaming a moment here to respond with whatever they want for their mid. They could put Tiny there, they could put Mirana there, but probably hoping to get a nice matchup win if possible, which is why Winstrike ban out the Huskar.
Imagine IG feel like from the outside it looks like these drafts no obvious these four are better than the other four, and that's where IG, considering they have the last overall pick, feel like they have a small edge right now in some ways because they can react to whatever this is.
Okay, so they do go DK. I guess this kind of reflects what you said before, right? It's a tower hitter, but it's also pretty tanky, and because IG has so much burst damage, it might be safer that way.
I think they came into game one saying, let's push. Let's try and disguise it a little early on. I don't imagine they were expecting the Lycan to be banned out because that would have been the ideal hero for them. If they get something like Lycan last pick, I think they win this draft.
Yeah, but if they... I guess it didn't matter. Well, okay, so they picked the Witch Doctor immediately after the Mirana, right? That hypothetically could have been the Lycan, and they would have been in the same spot regardless. The only difference being that IG gets a different ban, essentially.
Yep.
But would they ban Witch Doctor? Very unlikely.
And is Witch Doctor even as crucial for you? So maybe, it's hard to say. And that's why I feel like a lot of these teams, when they have that fourth, fifth pick in a row, have started picking their core before the support, if it's a core support, just because
there's
you're not hiding anything.
Nothing is lost, other than giving them maybe they know which role to ban.
Yeah.
But if you're going to pick Witch Doctor, I felt like... I mean, maybe they don't want Lycan more than DK, but...
Well, even if they wanted DK, I would say you should have picked DK before Witch Doctor then.
I would agree.
Because whether they want DK, Lycan, whatever they wanted, I would always say pick your core before your support. But
I guess the only benefit is that they have less time from you picking your core to knowing what they want to pick. That's the one benefit, I suppose.
That's true.
And they go for an Alchemist, so that'll probably be Alch mid. And then he'll most likely lane against a Dragon Knight, which is normal, but we could also see Dragon Knight shift to a different lane and throw Necro mid instead.
You almost maybe want to consider that a bit more when you considering it's an Alch. You don't want to let this guy free farm. He does farm very well against DK, whereas Necro can bully the Alchemist out of lane and put a bit more pressure on him. So I wonder if we'll see safe lane DK as Silent does pick it up. So.
And with Tusk as well, it's very easy to gank mid and make a hero like Alka a little bit worried about dying. So I absolutely think, Necro with potential roam from either Witch Doctor or Tusk would be really good.
Yeah. I always feel like you want to have these good roaming heroes that can invade the Alk's jungle as well. Otherwise, he's just going to free farm, get a Radiance. Even if he has a rough lane, we've seen too many Alks have a rough lane, fall back in the jungle, stack some small, medium camps, boom, Radiance online, 14, 15 minutes in. But I don't know if these, like DK, Enchantress are not really those aggressive jungle ganking heroes. Ench often kind of sits in the lane for quite a while.
And I also, even if they do get a decent Radiance timing on Alchemist, I still feel pretty good about what Winstrike has because they've still got Maledict. And if you land a Maledict on a core, that's a really dangerous proposition to be in because even if you don't kill him, if you get him down to like 30% or something, it's going to be easier to kill him. And they also have Necro ulti, so it's like they kind of have pretty good solutions for a single ultra tank guy.
Yes. We've seen the Necro work very well against Tiny, and the same thing applies against the Alchemist, who does have HP regen against the Maledict. But if you just throw some quick burst damage on him, we may see very likely the Dagon Necro build. With a Maledict, that's gonna completely blow him up.
Well, we'll see if the lanes can go good for IG, and if they can take a nice victory for game 1, maybe they can hold up against that damage. Yep. But we'll see. Game's gonna start. This is a best of 3. The loser is going home, or at least has to watch the rest of TI from the stands, and that's not where they want to be.
Nope, not at all. Team Winstrike, the CIS qualifier winner, playing on the Radiant team. They're going to be going up against Invictus Gaming, runner-up in the Chinese qualifier, which had 2 slots coming into TI. Run-up to Team Serenity, who've had a very surprising performance in Group B, finishing ahead of many teams that you would not have expected, including Pain Gaming, who were eliminated. But here we go. Things unraveling. Down in the bottom lane, both teams sending numbers down here. 4 Winstrike heroes up against 3 IG ones. SRF going to be running. He levels up Arrow already. He needs to be careful because here comes Winstrike. Great cast from the trees. Going to bounce back to the Moran. Unfortunately, it doesn't bounce on the Q. DK stun comes out, as does a pause. Okay. Sorry, Binds. Tuski's not used any spells yet.
This makes a lot of sense, actually. I was very surprised he hadn't cast anything yet. I thought for sure he would have thrown an Ice Shard by now, because he would have had a better kill if he threw that when the Venge was to the left. And now they've had to even level stun on Dragonite level 1 just to guarantee the Ice Shard. So we'll see the Ice Shard. He can possibly tango to the right, but it should be a Venge kill.
Oh. We'll find out in just a second here. Iceberg, he's the guy you want to give the kill to. No fear. Doesn't even need the shards. He's going to get the block, and Iceberg gets the last hit. First blood going the way of Winstrike. And top lane, whoa, Enchantress. Taking a lot of damage there. Got down fairly low from aggressive with the tree grab right clicks. Going for the heal level 1 means no attack speed slow coming out from Untouchable.
That's okay. The level 1 Untouchable is kind of crappy nowadays. It's only 20. Nature's Attendance just feels a lot better. And yes, he does more damage to aggressive here, especially because his armor is so low. I think that was a good trade.
Aggressive was trying to hide in the trees while he waited for tree grab to cool down, and didn't quite successfully juke the Enchantress, as we'll see some more right clicks being traded. Ench wants the body blocks, but Aggressive going to get at least 1 bounty rune here for the team. The other one on the other side here with the wave, that's going to be amped up a lot. Gets him down to about 70 health. Tangos and another Nature's Attendance available, but that's pretty much all of his mana gone. You only really have mana for 2.5-ish Nature's Attendance until you get some of that regen kicking in. So a third one will be available, at least once he gets to the lane.
Yeah, it was quite costly. Kind of a cool dual lane if you think about it, the Tiny plus Avenge. Just lower the armor to make the tree even better, even though normally it's not the best trading ability.
So mid lane going to be very rough for XXS, I can only imagine, particularly with the Necro getting a first blood. He's going to have that second Null Talisman coming out very early. You can see laning matchups here. Enchantress going to be getting some help from Tusk. No Fear rotates up there. Very scary dual lane for Tiny to deal with. And down bottom, Mirana, SRF isn't really getting too much help directly, but Baboka is doing some creep wave pulls to help him out indirectly.
Yep. Always want to fly trying to mess with this, but he's going to get Fissure Stun, and that's going to prevent the pull. Interruption. Yep. On the mid lane, 7 and 8 and 3 for XXS here.
That is a great start. Top lane, though, Venge trapped in the trees here as he's going to get surrounded. It's the power of the Tusk Enchantress, finding a kill up there. Just a support, but
this was Necro's first 4 last hits on this push through. He really did a great job. He glyphed the first range creep that got low at the same time Necro used his nuke, and as a result, just getting the follow-up last hit. Yep, that'll be the Tusk kill too. This wave tree is really good.
Yeah, the Venge Tiny, with the amped up damage and the tree grab being physical damage, we're seeing Winstrike kind of struggle against this, at least at early levels. That may change as we see more levels picked up on the Enchantress, and the Untouchable just prevent some of that right click coming out, particularly that second point in it where it gets extra value. And Enchantress does have a lot of creeps under this tower now, but gotta say, it doesn't feel like a lane matchup that should be won this hard by Alchemist. It just feels like XXS is kind of outplaying Iceberg a bit here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it felt like. A couple crucial denies, couple crucial last hits, the Quelling. He's got the Aquila now, or at least the Wraithband. Iceberg is trying to play around and cover the rune if needed. Doesn't want to let XXS get a little closer there.
And he's taking a lot of damage here, though, as It's fairly low, won't be going down there. He kind of knows his hero's limits and just wants to get as much damage on Alk as possible. But Alk has 2 salves, he's got 1 in lane. He's actually got 2 more back at base. He's just spamming these salves. He knows, just got to kind of survive to your level 6 and spend regen to get, more money. You spend some money to make a bit more and you'll be a happy camper.
Maybe doing this play because he saw the double null right off the bat for Neko. Fissure block for always want to fly. It's kind of scary. Yeah, it has to use a lot of tangos to get through.
SRF doesn't actually land the arrow with the tango pathway.
Yeah, wasn't expecting 2 to be used there.
Baboka wants to pull another wave, has the Windlace movement speed, so should be just fine here. Does outrun the Witch Doctor with relative ease. And we'll see if that means always when fly. Probably just going to go for some more pulls here. He got the double sentry down bottom just to make sure he had these pulls. Back at top, going to be another initiation. Nice snowball dodge coming in from No Fear. He may still be in a bit of trouble. Right click's not going to do enough damage though. Didn't want to throw the tree, as he'll do it to get the last hit on the range creeps. So, yeah. Back at bottom, always want to fly. Just pulling creeps here. The double sentry to guarantee this small camp was available. It's a bit of a gold investment, but it's worth it to secure your lane, particularly when you have an enemy full position who's pulling waves from behind the tower. You have to find some way to get that lane equilibrium back.
Yeah, this is one of the prices you have to pay for picking a hero like Witch Doctor, is that if you don't have Maledict level 1, you're not really going to do that great chasing somebody down, and he can't afford to do that anyway, so this just allows him to get something back from the lane when he does do these long pulls.
Yep. Well, mid lane, the Invis Tusk is kind of waiting to see what can come his way. Alk already has a bottle.
2 salves too.
Yeah. Is he going to chew through some of this regen? Sure looks like it. Alk 4-minute runes coming up. Ping's going out. He's hoping for it down bottom. As for Tusk, he's hoping for it up top. Where's it going to spawn? It's bottom lane for the Alchemist. Lady Luck favors him for now.
Very good friend. More mana. Necro's still having some HP problems mid. I can kind of see why he's playing it safe with the salves, though. I mean, it's not like Alk is going to harass him that much. His biggest weakness is now he can't go as aggressive, but he should be able to save some money this way.
Bottom, always want to fly. Oh, doesn't get the cast bounce. Oh, it does actually in the end, as the fissure block will be there. SRF will get the double star storm, even through the arrow. Perhaps not needed for the melee arrow, but it was a great fissure from Baboka.
Making Witch Doctor not look very survivable here.
Back at mid, Alk getting harassed fairly low, but Necro body blocked by the illusions, which he'll take some last hits on.
I feel like the Enchantress hasn't really gotten as much as I expected her to. She's doing fine, 17 and 6, but if you're playing a hero like Tiny, that's going to become much stronger later. I'd prefer a different hero.
Fissure arrow combo, trying to secure these bounty runes. Q getting one up top, No Fear. Always want to fly, so we're going to get both down bottom. The Witch Doctor, nicely played. Securing these bounty runes, getting 3 in total for his team.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Was it a failed fissure block from Baboka maybe or something like that?
Didn't see exactly what happened. He fissured the DK, but maybe just mistimed on the Witch Doctor.
Okay. He also doesn't have Aftershock, so maybe he was expecting it to stun where it normally would, and something like that. Wave is pushing though. Catapults are coming, so we'll see if Winstrike turns this into a push. Although
yeah, Ench has that value point in the enchant. Didn't steal the siege creep though. Oh, it's here now. Oh, okay, yeah, he will steal it. Okay, there we go. Double siege creep under the tower. Glyph is still available if they want to try and keep them alive.
That's pretty hard.
Not sure. It doesn't look like they want to go for the glyph on that first siege creep. So we're not going to see that kind of 5-minute Enchantress push that is often the case. Back down bottom, always want to fly. And a bit of trouble here from the Shaker. Has a shrine if he wants to use it, but may want to save it for his DK or his Necro.
It's the regen bot lane 2, or bot rune.
Baboka. It's going to get denied, I believe, from the high ground here. Always want to fly. Should be able to get it. Picks it up. He saw it coming.
That was good usage, at least. He gets 200 mana out of it.
Yeah.
It's not all bad. I mean, Alex can be a little sad, but really getting out of the lane is fine.
He's okay if he needs to use his shrine. He will. He's got mana. Not the end of the world for Little Alchemist. Right now he's a little guy, but plenty of farm coming his way soon once he starts getting these jungle stacks going.
Iceberg's doing really well now, holding out more net worth than IG.
Fissure Arrow not going to connect down bottom lane, and DK going to turn around with his ultimate, get the Dragon Tail out onto Baboka, who's looking for a totem, but there is no way out for the Shaker, who gets last hit by Dragonite.
That was pretty good. I didn't even think he was going to do that much damage there, but the power treads at this point making a nice difference.
3 points in the Breathe Fire, plenty of damage coming out. Even the Corrosive does pretty good damage at this point. Snowball away up top. No Fear in some trouble. He held the stun on Q this time around, so no dodging it. As the Fissure actually going to get the last hit. Baboka's respawn comes top lane. Maybe not the most value of TPs. If they could get that kill without him, he might have some regrets about actually being in this top lane.
I'm just not sure he does that much in the his off lane either though. Silent will get some tower hits in, but at most, how's he gonna stop Dragon? You can fissure him once, but that won't do that much. He can't gank mid either because Alchemist is jungling. That was literally his only play.
He may just take over mid lane while Alk goes into the jungle. I like this from Always Wanna Fly, getting down those deep wards. One behind the tier 1 mid, one in the Alk's jungle at the tri-camp. Doesn't actually block the camp, which is often the play against Alk, but the issue is when you block the camp, they know there's a ward there and it gets de-warded. So he's perhaps hoping that they can set up a gank off of his Observer ward.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Aggressive and a little bit of trouble here. Into the trees. They do have Snowball, so can interrupt a TP if they find him. Yep, there it is.
He tried to juke him so he could TP out in Fog, but now he pays the price. He dies, and he will not have TP when he respawns, so even worse outcome for him than just dying.
Well, at least Venge will get the lane for a bit. Maybe can pick up a level 6 from this. But no,
back at the bottom rune. Haste rune is there. SRF gets it. Unfortunately, for Always Wanna Fly, he banked on picking that one up. He's going to pay for it. Does reveal the fact Dire had a ward there because he kind of arrowed from the shrine area when theoretically he was in Fog. But all in all, small little kill on a support. It is Winstrike. You have a decent laning stage advantage thanks to some of their lane matchups. Necro over the Alchemist. Enchantress just always going to win her lane, so we do see about a 2k gold lead.
Yeah, everything's definitely gotten better in the last couple minutes here.
Yeah. The question with Alk is always like, when does he take over the top net worth? Because that feels to always inevitably happen around that like 15-minute mark.
Yeah, very commonly. But there's so many cores behind on IG's side. Like, the difference between Potom and the enemy carry, the difference between Tiny and the enemy carry is massive right now. It's like 1,000 gold. That's way too much too early, and that means that if Winstrike can turn that gold into some bounty rune fights, then Alk's just not going to accelerate as much.
That's something Winstrike's been very good about, making sure they try and secure these bounty runes. We saw 3 of them at the 5-minute mark, and very likely we'll see them contest these 10-minute bounty runes as well. DK does go down bottom there. Nice rotation from IG, taking 3 heroes to the bottom lane to make sure they get that. All of this while, Alchemist farming his stacks. He did a nice little double stack at the tri-camp, stacked both camps, farm one, and now he's farming the other, and should be getting a good chunk of gold out of this. And even though Winstrike see him, they're not contesting it. Ooh, deleted. Venge, see you later. They had the fissure block, but SRF is second that Necro gets a kill. Doesn't want to mess with him because he's got so much regen. He gets the maxed out Death Pulse stacks. And Iceberg tanking tower shots just because he knows he can regen through this all.
Yeah, they did not expect him turning there and going for the fight. That was 3 heroes. I thought he was going to run for his life, but instead, a great turn on the Venge and gets the kill. I really did like the Dragonite gank, though. It's very smart. He had used his ultimate not too long before that they ended up rotating and ganking in. Oh, are they going to get quadrants? No, just 3. Still amazing.
Yep.
But they ganked him there, preventing the tier 1 tower from taking more damage, which means less pressure on the map. That was good.
Boca is being scouted by this courier, and that means TPing out is going to be very tricky for him. Often you'd go into some trees here in TP, but guess what? You can't. Love the courier micro coming out, and Baboka, there's no escape for him. He's not even going to try TP out, uses his mana for a totem. Good heads-up play there.
Well, the Veil's up on Necro now, so any heroes they find are even more likely to die. But can Winstrike find Alk and get on top of him? He's 2,000 gold right now. Needs 3,800 for the Relic. And even if he does get Radiance, still very vulnerable to some of these amplifying skills they have.
Yep. Do you see him take over the top net worth position as per Alchemist tradition? Nothing much unexpected about this, but very much something that's necessity for our Alchemist team. Down bottom, Winstrike, find a Venge kill here. Not a big kill, but what could be important is taking this bottom tier 1 tower, because this makes contesting that Alchemist farm that little bit easier. The more towers you take, the more pressure you can put on the map, the harder it gets for Alk to farm. And they've taken 2 out of 3 outer towers already. The Dire Glyph's going to come out, but with the Siege Creep and the DK Dragon form here, this bottom lane, tier 1, is donezo.
Yeah, it should work out. They're a little low, but heal's going to keep them up a bit, and Boboka will rotate, but too late for him, most likely.
Yep.
Doubt he can get a deny either.
No, he doesn't want to put himself near this Tusk or DK, I can only imagine. DK going for a very early game build. We talked about with Winstrike's picks, how they had all these heals. They want some big pushing hero last. Wasn't the Lycan or the Drow. DK's still pretty good. He's going treads, drums, hood queued up. He is kind of all in on trying to end this game fairly early.
Cool. He's tanking the creep wave too. Wants to keep his catapult alive. His next wave is here. If they can kill this enemy creep wave and then keep hitting buildings. I mean, this tier 2's already at half HP. He does lose his ulti though.
Still,
not
even
gonna
so,
push as fast.
even with just the Siege Group, they don't have to take this tower just now anyways. Just getting some damage on it is going to be nice. Can always come back for that next DK ulti form. See Winstrike, 12 minutes in, got to be pretty happy about the fact they've taken all these tier 1 towers. Back at mid, aggressive needs to be careful. He's got a Blink
top,
Dagger
maybe?
queued up. It's going to be instead non-grata on the Enchantress.
Good luck.
Chain stun, not enough damage coming out as he'll survive this one and look to turn it around on SRF. Multiple TPs coming
crazy.
his way.
She leapt for 100 attack speed, and she still couldn't attack. Because there's an extra
He
7.
may have to leap again.
Oh, that's
SRF into
crazy.
the trees will just TP on out. They're going bottom lane. I think they saw aggressive getting kind of dove here. Oh, Necro, you're behind the tower. Is Iceberg going to be okay here? It looks like they TP in, but they're actually not going back towards the mid lane. DK's there as well, and with an Arcane Rune, this DK Necro are scaring off the entire IG team with just 2 heroes.
He gets a reduced cooldown for his ultimate too. That's 60 seconds uptime with a 20-second downtime. So even after this ends, he's going to have it up really fast again. This is such a good timing for this when they're on the map. I mean, they're not even ganking the Alk like we normally expect. They're actually just pushing towers and saying, we're not going to chase you. We don't care. We're just going to get so much map control from all your towers that immediately after that, you're not going to have any place to farm.
DK not normally a hero you'd associate with Arcane Runes, but in this fast pushing strat, it's probably one of the best runes he could find. It's going to take this tier 2 mid tower, and as you said, that downtime is going to be about 15-20 seconds or so, and he's already headed top with his ultimate still up for another 15 seconds.
It's a massive, and he was queuing up Hood before, but I like what he's doing now, changing up, going for Blink so that he can have catch. When you have all the towers dead, Hood is great if you're fighting enemy heroes, need to stay alive, but once all the towers are dead, it's all about catching the heroes that are still trying to split push, and Blink's going to give him that ability to do that at the expense of not being as tanky, but it's a good trade-off here.
I mean, we're seeing this Winstrike, all these towers down, a 4K gold lead, but are they really ahead right now? Like, in terms of the Alchemist being in the game, the comeback potential of this draft, and the fact they're going all in. They still have a level 4 Witch Doctor at 14 minutes because of how much their 5 main towers. Do you think IG are actually in a bad place right now?
I would say it all comes down to this big fight here. It looks like Winstrike's coming to defend, going to put some damage on aggressive. There's a swap
swapped out, yeah. They may just give up Q here. I think they can't afford to lose aggressive when he's this close to his Blink Dagger.
Those are some insane cask bounces, by the way. Like, hit him every single time. I think it's fine that Witch Doctor's 4. If he drops a Maledict on somebody, he's doing a job.
There was a Moonlight Shadow popped, Iceberg. They were looking for perhaps an Echo Slam into Arrow combo. They may still find something along those lines here. Could fissure, but he's pretty tanky. He's got 15 1 charges. If you don't burst him, you're in trouble. And
so Radiance is up on Elk. So that means he's going to accelerate surely. We've got Bounty Runes coming up in 18 seconds, but Winstrike is pretty well positioned with all these towers dead. Look at the positioning of IG. They're not even making a play for bounties. And it looks like they're going to get all 4. And that's why Winstrike is in a better position, especially if you take a look at the Necro. He's got a Relic himself.
Earthshaker was going for a bit of a neutral stack there into Bounty Rune play, but with the lack of map control, it wasn't really a play to be made for those Bounty Runes.
And Silent hitting buildings again. This time no Arcane Rune, so his ulti's about to go away forever, but at least for now. But I mean, they're so close to the Radiance of their own. 300 gold to go for Necrophos, and he's going to be able to take it to Alp, but do way more damage.
Well, buyback from Shaker. They want to defend down bottom. They're actually going to fight on the IG side. They've got Radiant, so it's a pretty decent time for this one. No Dragon Form available on Silent. He gets stunned up, trying to just drum himself out of there. Gets caught by the fissure on the retreat. They get the kill. Shaker buying back for this one. His hopes and dreams of a blink kind of shattered, but I don't think they were expecting a blink on him anytime soon. They just want Aggressive's blink, and that buyback could help get him there.
Yeah, just a ward spotting him hiding in the trees there, so that's why they got the kill.
That buyback cost him only like 250 gold too, so
yeah, not terrible.
Don't think it really matters.
But I also don't think that's really the hero that is that big of a loss for Winstrike. If that's Necro dying before he finishes his Radiance, it's a little scary, but Dragon Knight's already got his blink, he's already got his drums, he's got his treads, he's ready to jump in and tank and fight. And now he can do that to back up the Necrophos, who's going to probably deal more AoE damage than the Alchemist is.
Alku's got 2.2k gold. He has a Manta queued up. I would almost maybe even think it's worth considering a Blink Dagger to be an initiator as well yourself, so that you're going to be forced to defend. But he buys the Yasha for now. Maybe something he could go back for.
I mean, you can Manta dodge the Dragonite range stun. That's pretty huge.
Yep.
If you get gone and you get a Manta off, it might interrupt something like Iceberg casting his ultimate for a long enough time that he gets away. Obviously, you can split push with it. It's kind of just mandatory, right? Like Blink would help him fight, but I just don't think he wants to fight right now.
We'll see top lane smoke coming the way of SRF. He leaps away before the smoke even pops. I think recognizing something was amiss. Maybe they smoked on that dire ward up top, but
and there's also almost no IG heroes out of their own base. So I think it's just
Yep.
that's the one hero that's going to get gone on. So
Kind of knows. They've seen the DK Blink Dagger as well. Aggressive. Whoa, he's got a blink. He doesn't use it in time. Does get the Avalanche off instead. Swapped away. Aggressive. Fissure was there. It's not going to hit the Snowballing Tusk. Here comes the Alchemist. They'll hit the Tusk with a unstable concoction and a toss, deleting him from the game as they go chasing, looking for more perhaps. This is where IG have kind of starting to come online. This Alch Radiance is not being used to just farm. It's also being used to enter the fray. He's got Treads, Radiance, now a Yasha Aquila. 1600 health with Chemical Rage is definitely a hero that you can fight with.
he's scary, but I think that was just a big Winstrike overreach. I mean, Silent was trying to use the dregs of their smoke to take a fight, and he did find somebody, but he blinked very aggressively into a bunch of heroes. The Tusk tried to follow up, but put himself out of position. They need like the Necro follow-up immediately after the initiation.
Yeah, the kills that we've seen IG get have always been when Necro isn't in the area. The DK death and now that one there. But this time DK is there, finds the Venge. Not the ideal kill, but down lower. But Boka on the Shaker's been caught out in the trees as well, so they're going to lose 2 supports here. 57 seconds for the Venge with the Necro ulti, and Shaker with the dieback dead for 30 plus. Some pretty long respawns considering we're just 18 minutes in and they were supports.
The creep wave is way out of position on the safe lane, so they're going to have to go mid. That creep wave is also almost dead, so by the time they do get high ground, the Earthshaker should be alive. And they also don't have Dragonite ultimates. So I don't even think this is going to work. They're just going to have to go back and farm for now, which is fine. It's still gold advantage. And
it's maintaining it, you know, we're going to make sure that for the next 10, 15 minutes of the game, you don't get any bounty runes. We farm your jungle. We take Roshan. You're winning the game if you can just keep getting further and further ahead in Winstrike's shoes.
Bounty runes are almost everything here, honestly. If you're losing huge map control like this, as an Alchemist, that's probably your biggest problem. And in that way, it's cool to see how Winstrike is playing against this Alch this game. Not that they drafted against it purposefully, because it was the last pick, but the way they're playing is great. And they're trying to gear up for a little bit of bounty fight. It's got a whole minute to go.
XXS, yeah, let's say this is maybe a bit too early for IG to be doing this, but they don't care about bounties. They want these kills. They almost saved the Witch Doctor with the Snowball, but not the case here. As back on the high ground here, Q is in all sorts of trouble. He's getting surrounded by Iceberg as well as Silent. Iceberg's ultimate hasn't cooled down just yet, so no Reaper, so to speak, but Babuka in the trees can't find a way to TP on out. XXS Alchemist does survive. That's the big hero to keep alive, as Winstrike will not get the hero kills they're perhaps looking for once again. Oh, these poor supports, Kevin. They just, you know, they can't have a good game.
Look at this net worth, man. There's like 3 ultra rare or ultra poor supports this game.
12 of the 13 deaths are the supports. SRF and XXS have not actually died this game. That is kind of crazy that all the deaths have been on them. And, you know, that's sometimes your life as a Venge when you're losing a game may just be suiciding to save a core hero, as we've seen Q do at least twice, maybe even 3 times this game.
So bounty rune's coming up, and an absolute 0. There's no way they can contest here. Maybe would have needed to smoke out, but
that is so important in a game like this against Alchemists when the comeback could come at any time. IG is smoking up, but it's not to contest the bounty runes. They got to know that those have all been picked up. They're just trying to see what kills they can find. Tusk is not really the dream kill. Well, they take it anyways. You know, a kill's a kill and can buy you some time. The fissure is there into an arrow. No, they're not going to get him. The snowball's there into the creep wave here. Have they got detection? You've got to imagine they do with the Echo Slam. They managed to land it on 2. Non-Grata is going to go back here. No detection to spot out the IG heroes who are trying to finish off Non-Grata. Still, they just can't quite do it. In comes Iceberg. He's got the Reaper, but he gets caught by a max duration unstable concoction. He's dead. That's such a big kill. As the car's bouncing around, can they deal with XXS? The Maledict damage is going to be big. He Mantis tries to buy himself some time to get out of there. Hiding in the trees, throws a stun out. Doesn't look like Maledict will finish him off. Nice arrow to follow up the unstable concoction. He's going to get that on the DK, and DK's dead as well. IG don't lose a single hero and take out 4. What a fight for them.
It was just a big mistake from Winstrike. Normally when your team gets initiated on and your whole team, the rest of them aren't there, you just let those guys die and you just kind of say, okay, well, that's 2 deaths. But instead they engaged thinking they could win some fight back, get some hero kills, and it just went the completely opposite way. I mean, Necro was walking in to try to do something, but he got stunned by Venge under Acid Spray, and then there was a stun follow-up, and then there was an arrow, and all of a sudden he just dies easily.
Yeah. Gotta say, it's a little bit of an unconventional Necro build, too. The Radiance, you see that every now and then, particularly in the pub games, not necessarily something too crazy, but going right into a Heart of Terras. A lot of health from this, but you got to look at this dire side, and it's physical damage. The lack
Absolutely.
of armor is a big problem.
And normally, Necro's actually even build on Aquila. It's only like 3.5 armor, but that could have made a big difference there. Maybe he has enough time to get his Ghost Shroud off, into a Death Pulse, into a 20-stick wand. He could have maybe turned that fight around, but too much minus armor, and he ends up getting punished. So I absolutely agree. Maybe something like a plate mate before, or sorry, a plate mail before the Reaver would be a better move.
Well, we'll see IG just, happily settle things down, slow the game down. Baboka suddenly sitting on 1,300 gold. He's actually dreaming about a Blink Dagger now. It's no longer a fantasy. It's realistic, and the rest of IG are going to be pretty happy about the state of this game. They're smoking up. They're looking for another fight. They recognize, we can actually fight and do okay here if we're getting the initiation and the jump on you, particularly on the Necrophos. They've decided to maybe ignore the Enchantress a bit more, which has worked out well for them.
And that's why he does want to get tanky. It's not a terrible decision to go Heart, just maybe a mistake in that last fight. So if he could have scaled straight into the Heart right away, all the minus armor is not going to matter because the Veil alone is going to cover a lot of that. So he's got to get tanky so all these chain stuns don't just result in his death, because in a lot of the games today, it just seems like an arrow follow-up from a stun for a 4-second stun has been like the way to pick off some of these cores at crucial moments.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if he can tank up, like you say. As for now, Winstrike have kept this top lane pressured out to the tier 3. No one's actually defending it, which is a big sign that IG are on the bottom side of the map. IG gets some deep wards down, take a tier 1 tower, but these wards are probably not going to be all too useful, though, is probably my one criticism of them. At the same time, they're the only place on the map you can move out on, so you may as well drop some wards while you've got them. This game is going to be played kind of more around this top side for Winstrike, and particularly the Roshan pit, which they've yet to actually go for.
Yeah, and at least one of them will give some vision of the shrine area, so if they are split pushing, they might be able to anticipate a counter gank on a hero in that location. And they have access to the small camp and the large camp here, so if somebody doesn't want to be sitting in their base, maybe there's somewhere on the map they can actually collect resources and try to stay competitive.
As for Winstrike, bit surprised they haven't gone for that Roche. They had that perfect map control. We're taking all the bounty runes. Their lineup does Roche okay thanks to the Untouchable, The DK, I guess, damage-wise doesn't do great, nor does Necro, but they definitely have enough damage and sustain to kill Roche.
They got bounty runes in a minute, so this will be the one that maybe IG feels comfortable coming to defend. Winstrike's certainly playing defensive.
I mean, if they start actually getting bounty runes, that's a good tale of kind of how this game has shifted, such that IG can actually fight a bit better. They're going to smoke up. I believe they did a D-ward there before this smoke, so they feel a bit safer. XXS not going to join his team. He's just going to keep on hitting some newts, trying to work towards that Octarine, which he does have enough money for, so could look to buy out and pick that one up now if he's not too afraid of dying, which, from what we've seen, has been pretty good.
It is amazing how fast items come out on this hero. I thought he was so far away from Octarine, and all of a sudden one big team fight win in 5 minutes of farming, it's completely different. In fact, double bounty runes now. Like, imagine if Winstrike just lost those 2 heroes and they just retained map control and just kept getting bounty runes for another 5 to 10 minutes. Game would be completely different, but now they're back into it.
That's definitely what these bottom wards are good for, is getting these bounty runes. Although I say that they're not getting double, they're only getting 1. Tuss was there. He TP'd to the shrine just to contest it. And the entire Winstrike team, except for Witch Doctor, moved bottom. They recognize, we haven't beamed down bottom in a long time. IG just pushed out bottom tier 1 tower. That is not a safe place to play because they likely have vision. They're farming their tri-camp area a lot. They're going to be ready to contest these bounty runes. We got to bring people.
Yeah, there's a real possibility that Tuss dies for that, but because Alk would have gotten so much, it's absolutely worth it.
Alk mid reveals himself out of the Moonlight Shadow. Winstrike and nearby, but probably don't want to go on the Alchemist first. They know the rest of IG are behind him most likely with the Moonlight Shadow being used. As for IG, not sure you want to fight too aggressively here either. Your Chemical Rage is available, but positioning-wise, Winstrike are in slightly better place here.
Yeah, they definitely weren't going to move there. They saw a fresh sentry on the ground, spotted by one of theirs, and as a result, they know where the enemy team is. They're just going to take the tri-camp for now. Both teams just posturing, not wanting to have to walk up a cliff into a bad fight.
Or are we going to see another move here? The line's being drawn around towards the mid lane. Are they going to smoke for this one? Korea coming out, just has wards on it. As for Winstrike, they're going in for Roshan. Well, this could have definitely happened sooner, but perhaps they were waiting for some of these items to come out to be a little bit safer and also to make sure the Aegis could have a bit higher of an impact. If you have an Aegis around when you're actually ready to break high ground, suddenly you're looking at taking a lane of Rax with Aegis rather than just maintaining map control.
So what do you think about the upcoming team fights? It kind of feels like IG's plan is pretty straightforward. Chain stun into chain stun. Winstrike is get tanky, I guess, but it feels like IG has better initiations between like Earthshaker and Alchemist and Tiny. It feels like it'll be easier for them to initiate fights outside of Dragon Knight.
I mean, if they're defending high ground, I think so too, because we saw it a bit with the Secret game. When you have this tiny defending high ground, you can toss people in and pull them really far out, being able to do those toss backs. So I think even with Aegis, it's going to be quite difficult and tricky for Winstrike.
Yeah.
You can also just kind of ignore this Necro. He's got a heart, he's got an Aegis. Just focus and burst down these other heroes first and take the Necro out last.
I don't know if that's going to be their plan. I mean, with the Aegis, yes, absolutely, it's a little scary, but I mean, if anybody gets too low and they don't have BKB ready, it's going to be a kill, and that's the scary part.
For sure.
If they've got buyback, it's not as big of a deal, but there's not too many right now. Just Mirana and the Earthshaker.
Interesting, Alka's a Lotus Orb queued up. He's just bought the plate mail, so this could definitely change. And I think it's a good call to get some armor, but at the same time, Necro, his damage, and the Enchantress, you're looking at some magic and pure damage coming out as well, which is where this item may not be quite as effective.
What's the plan? I'm guessing you can reflect a cask, you can reflect Reaper's Scythe, you can reflect a snowball. That can be really good if you're in a lot of trouble.
Yep.
Because then you'll get it like a 3-second delayed counter initiation. Dragon Knight's stun, but he's got BKB, so used at the right time could be effective. But
the Lotus Orb Snowball can also work against you. I've seen many a times where a Tusk will be like, "Oh, that guy's Lotus Orb. Let's get him to snowball into me," and it can also, turn back the other way. So, got to be a little bit careful about that usage.
It's kind of cool that he has an Octarine with it, though. I've never thought about that before. But lower the cooldown, so he's closer to about 50% uptime.
Here come Winstrike. They've smoked into the enemy jungle. Just 4 heroes here. Enchantress actually not a part of this, which is perhaps part of the strategy behind it. You show a hero bottom, you're going to catch IG somewhat by surprise if they're not expecting you to come at them with just 4 heroes.
Probably the least needed hero, I guess.
5-man TP out. From the trees, they
know something's up.
Not
I mean,
messing around.
This is the Radiant side of the map, basically, in the mid and late game, once you end up getting the enemy tier 1. So if they're not there, they must be somewhere else, and it's definitely safer just to do a full reset coming from your base. That way you can kind of explore everything in a safer way.
Yeah, because they de-warded their jungle, so they know the vision is limited by Winstrike, but they then move so far out that, hey, we've actually no longer control this area.
I just thought that was breadcrumbs, so they knew how to get back to their base. It's just kind of
follow
nice
the sentry
line,
wards. They'll take you back in case you get lost. How does this game look for some of these Ag Scepters being pulled? Because that could be where we're headed with Alchemist.
Yeah, I didn't think about Ags either. Let's see, the Earthshaker one has been pretty popularized. We've seen a lot of Anjagses. Tiny does not work. Mirana's is unlikely to be amazing, but could be good. I guess there's some heroes to burst. Everybody's got an okay Ags is my impression. Nothing super stands out, or maybe
no, like this is going to change the game immediately. But, well, here we go, Winstrike. Contesting bounty runes. They know this bottom side of the map is where IG will likely be playing. Fissure comes up first. It's Iceberg, though, with an Aegis. The arrow not going to hit as well, so may just be forced to back off here. Aggressive goes in, and the Ice Shard's block on XXS. He's actually trapped in here. Needs to be careful. Blink! Echo from Baboka! Baboka, you're a madman! He's gone in, taken out the Tusk. Necro is next. Absolutely insane Echo. They need to deal with Silent Heroes. BKB's one off. There's going to be another unstable concurrent being channeled here. The cast bouncing around a little bit. Is it going to be enough here? Iceberg's lost his Aegis. He's going to be careful. Swap out from Q, just throwing away his life to help out XXS. He knows Iceberg's got a Reaper, and he's going to save XXS with that one. They're still chasing. They still want this kill. Blink forward from No Fear. Gets the punch. XXS in a lot of trouble. Has ulti in a few seconds here. Can he get it off? He likely will, but the Necro ulti's there. It's going to take him out. 2 minutes, he's dead. He doesn't have buyback as well. It's a disaster for IG. Potentially, they've taken out a few heroes here. Iceberg's still hunting for more. Could get aggressive. Toss away. Is it there? Nope. Not with the snowball from Tusk. And all of a sudden, this game flips on its head.
If he didn't have Aegis, that fight would have been so one-sided for IG with Baboka's Echo Slam there. He was so patient, waiting until there was enough heroes, and he got 3 heroes in that stun.
Oh, Bounty Rune was still there. Baboka picking up a Bounty Rune, just got Alk's buyback back online.
Okay.
May not need to use it anyways. It doesn't look like we're going to see an immediate push, but still, it's like a, there's that thought on your mind where it's like, are they going to push? Have we just lost because we don't have buyback on Alchemist?
And one thing that IG has seemed to shave off their build was a Blink Dagger on Alk, and it kind of cost them that team fight. Here comes the stun. It was a little bit late because he couldn't gap close fast enough. And then as they kind of collapse here, looking, oh, Alk's in trouble. We can definitely get this kill. He jumps in, goes for the 3-man here. If Enchant doesn't have his heal going, I actually think Iceberg dies a little bit early and maybe even non-Grotto gets bursted.
Yeah, the entire kind of DK BKB duration was also not used all too effectively. Just ended up being a fantastic fight. Talspy's back and does manage to make it a little bit more favorable. Here we go. Will they need the Alk buyback though? Back to real time. Winstrike are poking around at the high ground here. Alk is kind of hoping his team can defend without him. He'd love to not have to use this buyback. The Glyph will buy some extra time here.
Might do arrow swap. Nope, just going to throw an arrow to slow it down.
They may even just consider giving away one lane of racks here if it means not having to buy back. But Boca does have Echo Slam once more. Smoke in his backpack though, so we're not going to be seeing that one. And it does look like they may just give this one up. But Boca, Invis, Moonlight Shadow, delaying it further with a fissure. Does he go for any kind of a Blink Echo to try and save the melee racks? It seems they're happy to just let it go for now. Here we go. Blink Echo on a 2, followed by a totem. Baboka forces out the BKB from Iceberg. They finish off the melee racks here. Aggressive getting very low. The Reaper is there. Going to immediately buy back as soon as he dies here. They want to turn and fight this one. They throw out the stun. Catches multiple heroes here. Iceberg gets barely away here. They're going to lose the 2 supports. Can they find more? The low cooldown from the Octarine. They're going to catch Iceberg with another stun. He can't get out of this one. His BKB not available. It's not going to be there to save his life. He's dead for 80, and he doesn't have buyback now. What's going on in this game? He's 100 gold short for it, and IG, it costs him a tiny buyback, but that's how you have to play against this Necro ulti. If someone dies, you cannot afford to be dead for that long duration.
And these stuns, again, are just making all the difference. XXS able to gap close and go for the heroes that were important. Landing the stun on the Necro rather than wasting a couple seconds on the supports just proves to work out. So 50 seconds on the map is at least going to give them some tower control. And this is absolutely something that IG needs here. It's going to pump some gold into some of their supports and maybe give them a better opening. But I didn't think that Echo Slam was going to produce much, to be honest. They couldn't do a tossback either because both of those heroes hitting buildings had BKBs. So they made something happen out of not much.
Yeah, it wasn't like that huge damage. It just hit 2 heroes, nothing else. But it was that initiation stun where 2 heroes got chain stunned. The Necro had to just BKB the second it ended. And that meant by the time the Alchemist actually, because he respawned around when he went in, by the time he got into the fight, that BKB on Necro was down, so he could actually get stunned, could actually be dealt with, and IG are going to feel pretty good about that one. They get a couple of towers, they regain some map control. Unfortunately, Roche wasn't available, but
here's the initiation once more. Wave of Terror on 3, can't really do a toss back here. The only downside, Baboka did use Fissure here, so he didn't get it in the triple stun when he finally did go in, but they've waited as long as possible. 2 seconds here, right before the respawn on Alk to try to surprise their opponent's chain stun on the Dragon Knight gets him down to 40%. And Aggressive's going to pay for his life, but he buys back here and instantly gets into the fight.
It's one of those moments, if Alk respawned maybe 2 or 3 seconds faster, they could have saved that melee racks, but they had to wait that long. And it's not really worth an Alk buyback, because if he buys back and he dies to anything in the next 5 minutes, the game is definitely lost. So IG played it about as perfectly as they could. Just unfortunately for them, they didn't have that faster Alk respawn. They're going again. They're looking for another fight here. Smoked up, Baboka leading the way. Tiny's the hero to kind of watch out for. He doesn't have buyback, which means if he gets deleted from the fight, it's all sorts of trouble. Glimmer Cape in, gets a fissure. Echo Slam to follow it up, catches out 2. They've caught Iceberg, but the snowball save is there. Follow-up stuns coming in from the Alchemist. Can he finish off this stun? Reaper is there, aggressive. He's not going to die to this one. XSS has been BKB'd here. The Tiny does end up dying post-Reaper as Tusk dies in the trees to the Radiance damage here. Chase is on. XXS with the low sword in the front lines. Has a stun in a couple of seconds. Wants to wait for the Ghost Shroud. Can't afford to do so without stunning himself, so he doesn't do any damage, but he's got another stun, and this time there's no Ghost Shroud. XXS, man to dodge of the Dragon Tail is there, but he's lost his Chemical Rage. He can't keep fighting. He's going to keep throwing these stuns as much as possible with the bonus damage from his level 20 talent. He's doing some good damage here, but still, Chemical Rage in a couple of seconds. He's going to be good to go very, very soon. Iceberg in trouble. He's incredibly low. He didn't get the Ghost Shroud off. He's dying to the Radiance damage. He's dead. 80 seconds on the sidelines here. Silent without BKBs in trouble. He's going to get chased down. Another stun. That's like the 5th, 6th. I don't even know. I'm losing count. How many unstable concurrents are there? This Alchemist is just out of control. Absolutely insane performance from XXS, and he's not done. There's a Witch Doctor. Well, the Alk might be done, but the Shaker and Venge, they're not done. They'll get the Witch Doctor.
It is just so hard to do anything about him in these team fights, especially with his BKB and his Manta style. He's using them at the perfect time. He's dodging Dragonite stuns. He's constantly preventing the Necro from being able to chase, and that's causing so much disruption because that's their big damage deal on Winstrike's team. They need to keep him on top of everybody, clean up the other support heroes, and then deal with the Alchemist. But with this Lotus Orb that's up like half of the time, more than half of the time actually, they're always ready to reflect Maledicts, or not Maledicts, Casks and Dragonite stuns and all that good stuff.
It's just crazy the uptime of this stun as well. It feels like he throws it out. It's a 5-second like channel time, and it's already back up. It's a 6-second cooldown.
And it stuns for up to 4 seconds here. Now,
Yeah.
maybe something they might want on Winstrike is a Lotus Orb of their own, because at least
Agreed.
then they would be able to reflect the stun back at Alk, and that would force him to use BKB. And once his BKB is down, then they're at the point where like he doesn't get this like crazy value for 40-second fight. Instead, it's like, okay, after the first 10 seconds of the fight, then the Lotus will be really useful.
Oh, they're chasing once again. They get the initial stun on Nongrata. He's going to try to force himself out of there. Alchemist is going to get himself here with the stun. Lotus Orb put on himself for a bit of extra defensive play. Didn't have the Manta style to try and dodge it. The swap out from Q. He's not messing around here. Has a Glimmer Cape to try and survive this one. Should still die. Damage over time will finish him off. But Boca also dead. Oh dear. A couple of support deaths for the IG side. And Winstrike will be feeling pretty good about themselves. They head straight for the Roshan pit.
It's a really good grab for those two heroes. And they were trying to get just a free kill, but not able to grab them at nighttime. I think that was part of the issue. Yep. One little Force Staff and a bunch of trees, and Enchantress gets out.
Yeah. They knew they had a ward there, which they were trying to play around. They're like, okay, we've got this vision, let's go fight. But once you have to chase outside of your vision, you kind of lose that advantage of fighting in that area. And puts him in a bit of a tough spot here. And Winstrike, Aegis Cheese coming their way. They've decided to look like they're actually scary and kind of scaling in a way that they can right-click and deal with this Alchemist. They've got multiple MKBs, the Dragonite and Enchantress. Enchantress particularly we've seen just be a great damage dealer, being able to sit on the outskirts of a fight, just throw constantly the impetuses.
She's a little bit of an in-your-face fighter, though, this time, because she hasn't been able to finish an Aghanim Scepter, so she's kind of like the range of a typical ranged hero. And as many stuns as there are, she feels like they can deal with her. Like, throw a stun, land an arrow, and then maybe go for like a BKB leap right-click, because her personal survivability is actually not that high. She just has magic resistance and some heals. Her armor's not great.
She has a BKB queued up, and that's almost kind of like, if you're going to keep getting some by this out, at some point you do just need a BKB against it. So I like the item choice, but IG ready to go themselves. They may have just claimed an Aegis on the side of Winstrike, but IG are not afraid, and they're going to shrine their way on through. Not sure that was intended. I believe everyone was full health and mana, but it's a shrine for good luck, for good fortune, as they approach the Winstrike side of the map. Once again, trying to fight underneath this ward here. They see Silent. He's not got the Aegis. Blink after the fissure. They get the chain stun perfectly. The blinker from Nofir. He wanted the snowball save, but he's not going to get it. Instead, he's going to go down as well.
That's his gem, too.
I can only imagine here. They get the turn. They change target. They're going for Nongrata further down bottom on the tier 2 tower here. Nongrata gets chain stunned by the Venge as well. The cheese being popped just to keep him alive. But Boca did end up dying there as they continue to chase Nongrata. They're kind of all in on this chase here. The Alk stun will catch up to him. No Hurricane Pike for 5 more seconds with the arrow. This will be an easy kill. Man, that stun does a lot of damage. That was a... He didn't even channel that stun. It just instantly did about 500 damage.
Yeah, reduced his armor pretty low with the acid spray, but still, that was a big bit. Considering the initiation, though, I don't think Winstrike is extremely upset with how that fight went. It was a great try there by Tusk to try to jump in and save him. He hesitated at first, felt like it was maybe not the right move, and then as he blinked in, I believe he got hit by some other stun, probably like an Aftershock or an Avalanche or something, and he wasn't able to buy him the time to press a BKB. So.
Yeah, he got insta-stun without the snowball, and that unfortunately meant DK did. Even if he caught the DK may have still gone down with just how low he was. Yeah. But we'll see the bounty runes now getting picked up, a couple apiece, 2 for each side. So that Alchemist money rolling in, and that first Ag Scepter coming soon. We'll take another look here as the initial initiation from Baboka was good. It was the Echo Slam catching him, the third of Earthshaker's stuns, and maybe that's why Iceberg actually hesitated, because he knew that Echo was likely coming. So he's like, okay, I got to wait till after the Echo to go for the save, but couldn't quite do it. And then this big chase as they went looking for Enchantress down bottom. Baboka, he committed everything. He was in deep. He didn't have a blink. He didn't have any spells, so no surprise that he goes down there. But
he didn't get Reaper Scythe. He did get, they did ulti him, but he used his Glimmer prior to going in. He also is carrying a hood. He's got stupid amounts of magic resistance right now, knowing what he's up against. But he did get picked off. But either way, it was a good play for him after they initiate on the Dragonite, because he knows that there's going to be allies to the left. He moves to the left, spots the Tusk, and he's the reason why that fight went at least as one side as it did against the Dragonite. So it was still a very good play. But the game is very even. 41 minutes in, less than 1k gold advantage for Invictus Gaming here. And the Ags are going to probably make a difference.
The first ones come out. It's actually on Q's Venge. I would not have called the 5 position getting it. It's probably one of the better of the 3. Maybe comparable to Shakers. I'd say Mirana's is the worst, at least slightly.
Yeah, because I mean, there's still a big threat of Alchemist dying first. If he gets initiated on instantly, doesn't get his BKB or Manta off, they can chain stun him and kill him. And if Venge can sit, like, what is this, 1200 range behind him, she can swap every 10 seconds. And even if she dies, then she'll get a little spirit that can also do swaps and stuns and waves of terror. So
it's pretty incredible with the 10-second cooldown. That's definitely something to be worried about.
So in the meantime, just hit more creeps. But
Yep.
Alk is 6-slotted. I'd maybe call it a bit of a soft 6-slot. It's not the best offensively, but...
Yeah. Is that a worry that Alk is not going to get too much scare? I mean, I guess he could theoretically if he went for like some serious right-click items, but...
Yeah, I don't know if there's a good subset. I think the Lotus Orb is the right choice. He needs Octarine, he needs BKB this game. I think he's all in here.
I think it's okay that he goes this more tanky AoE constant. He's basically playing around his stun. He's spamming the stun, and the idea is that Mirana and Tiny will be the scaling damage dealers, which works pretty well if they maybe had a tiny bit more farm. Mirana seems okay. Tiny does feel a little bit behind.
Yeah, it's just Echo Saber, Blink, BKB going for an AC, which will definitely make everybody more tanky and make his stuns do more damage. I think that part's kind of good. Mirana's historically, she can pump a lot of gold into each of our item slots, though, because she's finishing expensive items. Mjolnir's BKB, not so much, but she'll get butterflies late game, stuff like that. Did they find him?
Oh, aggressive. Completely caught out here. Necro's here as well. This is going to be a Reaper kill at this rate. He's got no buyback. He needs help. Where's the Q? Venge? It's not here to save his life.
Yeah, aggressive in here.
Yep, hoping for a blink dagger. They don't get the Reaper, though. Bit of a mistake. Perhaps he doesn't have Ag Scepter, so maybe they can go push now and they'll still have Reaper.
Yeah, this is the right move. I mean, it's 120 seconds if you use this without Ags. It's just very important for another hero to be used, so completely fine.
That was odd that he was there. Aggressive. Not sure what was on his mind, that his team were just nowhere in the vicinity. He's just perhaps thinking it's a safe part of the map.
Maybe he's waiting to buy his plate mail or something.
Sure.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Not sure, though.
Top lane being pushed out by the Alkus, just about to hit that level 25. See what talent he gets, whether he goes for the regen or the base attack time. Given his build, we probably could just see the regen come out.
Yeah, I mean, his damage is not very high. I expect it'll be the regen. There is a Solar Crest and a Spirit Vessel on the Tusk, so they do have solutions to try to keep Alk's HP low, but he's also got the same thing. He's got Lotus Orb for a Dispel. He's got Manta for a Dispel. He's got BKB for Dispel. He's actually... This Lotus Orb, I'm a little surprised we don't see it more often. Like, looking at how valuable it is this game compared to something like a Shiva's.
Yeah.
It's like 5 less armor, and you get less utility, but, I mean, the being able to remove a Spirit Vessel is everything when you're playing Alk.
Yep. And it's, such a low cooldown because of the Octarine that he just has such high uptime on the item, and things looking pretty fine for him. The question is, can this Tiny continue to find some good farm? Even if he commits to an AC, he's not going to have buyback at that point. Not that he had buyback then anyways, but Mirana definitely a carry you kind of rely on. Not mostly because, it's not going to get kited. It does have that range factor. Bounty runes are coming. Bottom lane, IG want these, and Winstrike aren't here with their whole team. They do have a shrine they can TP to. They're going to go on Iceberg here. They're completely invis up Iceberg. He's going to get initiated on Fissure into stun. There's going to be... Oh, he blinked into the Echo once again. It's Deja Vu. They both got buyback here, but Tusk couldn't find the snowball save.
I mean, what he did was very admirable. He blinks in, he ate the arrow. I thought that would be enough, because at least then he would get stunned, Necro gets BKB off, or he tried to blink in and cast Snowball. Either way, it would have covered him. But, man, these timings, there's so many stuns that as soon as they catch a core hero like that they want to kill, they throw everything. They don't hesitate, and they don't wait to see if there's been a mistake. They just, everybody throws stuns.
Playing Tusk, if it was just a Mirana arrow and you're saving that guy, that's straightforward. He's arrowed, nothing to worry about. When you're against the AoE stuns of the Shaker, the Avalanche is particularly bad because it still lingers. So he's already thrown it. You can't blink in until it completely disappears. As we'll see the first buyback come out, swap out from XXS, making sure he stays alive. They don't want to buy back the Necro, but they may have to as well. Q going to throw away his first life. He sells the Accept, immediately loses it though, which is where the support
they could kill.
Not looking too hot. XXS in a lot of trouble here. He's dead for 100 seconds. Necro even bought back. Aggressive. He needs to BKB TP, but his TP was in his backpack. He's also being reaped. He's dead. He's dead for 85. Does have buyback. Non-Grata getting the kill, so he didn't actually die to the Reaper. Once again, the Reaper kill just not quite connecting.
This game just been turning around like crazy. 2 dead heroes, they go to push, and then all of a sudden a couple pretty big mistakes from IG there, leading to just a cascade. Venge had to sacrifice himself, and then it was Alk stunning himself accidentally, and then it's just, boom, 3 dead heroes, buybacks, At least Alk doesn't have to, but...
Yeah, well, not yet. He may still need to if they want to try and force it. We'll see if that's the case. Silence ulti has worn off, though, which is maybe partly why they're not going for this one. Roshan, the next objective, respawning in 20 seconds. They had the courier there for now. They're going to keep it there because they scout that right away. They should be able to get a free Roshan, given that Alchemist will be dead for about 30 seconds post-Rosh respawn.
This is clearly the hero they want at frontline, though. It's Dragon Knight. Like, if he's the one that's getting chain stunned, he's got way more regen than Necrophos does. He just pops BKB and he turns on his ulti and he just Scotty slows everybody. Yeah. And it's really hard actually for IG to defend against that. Because even if they pop BKBs, they're getting slowed, they're taking splash damage, and nobody wants to hit that guy.
Feels like from the IG side, they just have a lot more kind of reliable damage shields with the Enchantress, even the like Witch Doctor, Maledict, Death Ward, whereas the Dire side is kind of just... We're not really seeing that impact from aggressive in these team fights, but having to go in as a melee hero, and with just BKB, Blink, Echo Saber, he's got Hyperstorm, he hasn't even completed his AC. Even when he finishes it, he's not going to have that like Daedalus-esque item. It just feels like he's limited on his damage output, and it's just Alk with Mirana to right-click people. Shaker, you know, Echo Slam is decent, but that's a long cooldown.
And all these guys are really tanky anyways, so trying to focus on a burst hero like Earthshaker to try to kill everybody, it's just not going to happen at this stage.
Well, so. Aegis G's refresher. Where did that refresher end up?
I'm not really sure. I think
it's on the DK.
Yeah, it's probably for a BKB and ulti refresh. Especially if he gets killed and buys back would be a good example for when you'd want the refresher shard. But
Necro is also definitely good with the long cooldown of Reaper, 120-second cooldown. Although for now he's got a Arcane Rune, so we'll see if they can get that first Reaper off during that for the lower cooldown.
He's queuing up a Shiva's Guard, actually. He's already got an AC, lots of armor, and they're ready to go high ground. So Silence in the front with the DD. Going to hit some buildings, but there's a lot of invis heroes on the enemy side. We'll see if they do a toss back. This would be a good opportunity for it, maybe.
Aggressive just blinks in to hit some creeps here. They do get the fissure on a Silence who's going to continue hitting this tower. Lotus Soul will bounce back that stun. He does Manta Dodge it. The initiation not immediately coming out here. They stun up Silent once again. They're going to swap him in nice and deep here. Silent, he's got BKB. Will he get it off with the snowball help? He should be okay. He gets the BKB off. He's trying to fight. He's healing with the Satanic here. XXS can be forced back. Non-Grata charging forward as well in the Enchantress. Needs to be a little bit careful about how he plays his fight. Another swap coming in. 10-second cooldown. Silent, he's brought back. No BKB this time as Baboka forced to preemptively echo just to keep him alive as this first Reaper doesn't actually effectively kill off Q. Aggressive goes down on the Tiny with a buyback. They're now losing no fear. His Tusk going to snowball, buy some additional time. Non-Grata on the front lanes with the Impetus doing some good damage here, but just doesn't seem like enough. 2 gems on the ground as they go chasing forward. They want Non-Grata. He gets swapped back again. These swaps just constantly catching heroes out of position. They don't feel like they are. Always want to fly. Arrow Venge Stun both miss as the Alk Sun goes flying across the map. Oh, it's gone.
Her previous death was not so good, but that one was very effective. And the way they set that up was just the old swap into arrow.
It's coming.
Here it comes. Can't disjoint that one, guys. So they just go for they shoot the arrow from super far away, and then they swap them into it. Therefore, the stun hits instantly, and it hypothetically lets them kill that hero, but not Dragon Knight. This guy's tanky.
Yep.
He's also got Satanic, so 4,200 HP on this guy.
Nice thing is, you know, they can do that swap in multiple times quickly because of the low cooldown. Otherwise, they probably would have lost that fight because DK easily survived with the Satanic on his first life. It was the second swap when he didn't have BKB, and the Earthshaker solo echo on the DK. It's fine from Baboka. He was dying. He didn't really have any other good opportunities to use the Echo Slam, so worth it in the end as here goes IG, breaching the high ground, bringing out another Aghanim Scepter is the Alchemist. I'm not sure if he'll get a chance to pull it over. Iceberg getting chain stunned here on the front lines here. They want to try and bring him down. He's got Aegis as well as BKB, so they don't want to commit too much for this one. XXS has BKB. He's going to pop it, as does Iceberg on the front lines here. Iceberg, no Reaper for 20 seconds. XXS getting very low.
He might die to Maledict here. I think he's dead. They timed that so well.
He actually pops his SRF. Needs to be careful as well. He gets stunned by the DK. They had the ward. They bring him down. That's going to potentially force multiple carry buybacks. They get a melee Rax, but that does not feel worth it when you're 51 minutes in a tense game. Trading a buyback for a melee Rax, ooh, that is a tough one.
They played it so well. Witch Doctor is skilled the Maledict tick talent tree, which means that the Maledict last explosion is going to be extended an extra 4 seconds. This skill lasts for 16 seconds. You cannot BKB this. It's not going to work because they still have decent right click between the Necro and the attack speed and the AC and the Death Ward and the Dragonite and the Impetus. If they Maledict the Alchemist, he actually has to leave the fight.
And that was the last tick, right? That killed him.
Yes, it was really close. The BKB ended like 2 seconds before the final tick.
Such high impact coming from that support talent at level 20 as IG will not try and defend their range tracks at mid, but they do need to perhaps defend this top lane. Echo Slam into the arrow here. They go in on Silent. He's been Glimmer caped up. That's going to reduce some of this damage. He doesn't get a chance to BKB. There's no snowball save. He's dead for 100. Does that buyback to swap back in on No Fear. He needs a snowball target. Will get it out on SRF, but I'm not sure that's going to save his life. Goes to the creep wave to back off a little bit. They're kind of ignoring him. They're going for the bigger fish here.
He can blink now.
And No Fear does blink. There's still a Fissure to chase him down. It's back at mid, though, where they're chasing the bigger kills. Non-Grata, BKBs, turns and fight. Q just hugging him as close as possible. He says, come here, give me a kiss. Non-Grata doesn't want any of this, though. He's in full retreat here. The unstable concoction with the arrow is going to catch him out in the end. As Tuss survives, but they find Enchantress instead.
I think that's okay. I mean, she's still got buyback. She's relatively farmed, and they save... No, they didn't even save a gem.
They may have to buy back on somebody, though, if IG go push.
But that was still 2 buybacks on IG's side.
Yeah, I don't know if IG want to push without not having his buyback. He finally gets a chance to pull that Ag Scepter. He bought it quite a while ago, but, you know, it's hard to, you know, do your little item juggle, take him out of the backpack, put him back in, and when you're in the middle pushing high ground, that's not really on your mind. So he gets Shaker, his Ag Scepter.
This is a really good one to have. He's going to be able to jump in and out of the fights a bit more. Not have to rely necessarily on Echo Slam to do, or a Blink Dagger to initiate.
Yep. They're going for it. They're going to push high ground. They need to make sure they don't get punished for this because the buybacks, if they kill Alk, this is one of those kind of game over-ish moments. They killed the Shrine, so no TP to the Shrine backstab possible, or if they're trying to retreat, there's no danger of that.
Minimum, they got to force buybacks on the enemy team. That's what they're going to do here.
And if they see buybacks, they need to try and get out, I imagine. We'll see if they can make this happen. Aggressive with the tree grab is doing a lot of builded damage. The second they see the Ench buyback, they're backing off. Aggressive on the front lines. What are you doing? He gets Reaper, does get the BKB off. That'll keep him alive. The Ags swap is there. The chase is on. The Fissure going to buy him some time, as does the arrow. The 4-staff on forward. No Fear was trying so hard to pick someone off, but IG have scattered to the winds. First TP out from Q. Didn't have mana for a swap at that point anyways, and he's going to hope and pray that his team can get out without him. As for Winstrike, unfortunately for them, they don't get those pickoffs that they were really hoping to with their buybacks.
Gods, is it just me or is Necro, is Tiny broken against Necro? Because he ultied him, he gets swapped out, and before the scythe hits him, he pops BKB because of status resistance. Because it takes a second and a half for the scythe to hit. It only stuns him for 0.75, so as long as he gets another, as long as he's not chain stunned, with
That's
another
what happened
stun,
up top.
he just BKBs.
Yeah, I remember the top fight where he got reaped, and I thought he was going to die to it, and he didn't. I was like, oh, I guess he BKB'd before, but no, that is a crazy mechanic.
That's crazy. Yeah, really good advantage there, and allows Tiny to be, in some ways, the frontline tank.
Here's a replay of that top fight where they brought down the Dragonite. That's one of those moments. The only way out there is if Tusk is there to give him that snowball save, and
as you saw, Silence APM dipped a little bit in that fight because he couldn't do anything for about 8 seconds. Might see a fight here.
Go back to real-time. Moonlight Shadow's being used. IG right next to the Enchantress. That would have been a big kill. He didn't have buyback. Maybe I don't think they did see him, or they would go for him, I got to imagine.
The Wildling spotted him. The Wild Wing Ripper, that is.
Oh, it spotted IG?
Yeah, spotted him going invis. Like, he was very close by, but his Wild Wing was kind of scouting a little bit ahead of him, so ended up spotting at least something. And no engagement.
This feels like these teams aren't playing for their tournament lives, but in the best of 3. This is just game 1. Both teams laying everything on the table here. Non-Grata in the front lines here. Aggressive scouting him as No Fear goes charging in. BKB from the Tiny. They're going to try and blow up the Tusk. They don't succeed in doing so. He got the snowball off to buy some time. Alchemist in the front lines needs to be careful. Pops his BKB with his chemical rage. Throws the stun. Doesn't quite finish off, but the tree throw will. They take out the Tusk. In goes the Mirana with the BKB. They right-click down the Necrophos. Dead for 100 seconds. Immediate buyback coming out. XXS on the front line. Needs to be careful. The Impetus. The Rainbow Throws are chasing him away. Non-Grata once more. Tiny even buying back for this one.
Oh, so close.
There's nowhere for the Necro to TP to. He didn't have money for boots to travel, nor did No Fear. So they're stuck with just 3 heroes down bottom on the Winstrike side. But IG, they're so low, they can't fight. Baboka's like, let's get out of here.
That was so close. Alk lived with 36 HP on that last Maledict tick. But he played the fight great. As soon as the Maledict hits him, he starts juking around trees in a big way and staying alive. The refresher shot on Dragonite, making sure that Winstrike could win that team fight, was able to pop BKB again when being focused. but still costly buyback on the other side. And now the next team fight is huge. Whichever team loses that one is probably going to be the loser of the game.
Yeah, so there are 3 buybacks currently available. Dragon Knight, Venge, and Witch Doctor. 2 of those 3 support heroes. Some coming back up soon. Shaker's up in 40 seconds. Here we go. Mid lane, Baboka charging forward once. A fissure initiation, going to totem on after. There's going to be a Tiny there as well. The DK on the high ground in a good position to focus down aggressive here. Alchemist going to turn, try and go an Iceberg here. Changes target to the Dragonite, who's been stunned up by a long duration stun here. Silent in all sorts of trouble. He does it buyback though if he needs it. Alchemist, he's been delayed from the game. Dead for 150 seconds with the Reaper kill. SRF, full retreat. Doesn't have any leap charges left, but where's the detection? They can't see him. There's a sentry mid. That will spot him out. He's dead for 2 minutes now. And you mentioned this next fight. It's Winstrike, who are playing to win, and they have taken down 2 big IG heroes who cannot buy back.
The initiation went on the Witch Doctor first, and that's a good hero to grab, but that was one of the few heroes that did have buyback. They were scared about Maledict, and it just didn't matter. Him dying just eventually produced Winstrike, working down the Alchemist, and even with the Lotus Orb, as soon as the BKB ended, and it was only 5 seconds, they snagged the Reaper kill.
Yeah.
And from there, it's just cleanup.
They didn't have the Echo Slam for that fight, which really cost them as well. And Winstrike, they thought about going for the top lane, but I think they realized Alk has no buyback. Mirana nor doesn't either. 2 minutes, those are on cooldown for, so if they've been keeping tabs, they know this is a 5v3 push. And it's all up to Baboka with the Echo Slam. He's got to find a way to get this kill. He bought a casual Kaya for this last defense. Aggressive there as well with the Crystallis. Goes in, trying to force out some spells here. Gets tossed up in the air by the Lotus Orb, in fact, here. They're just going to right-click down the throne. Blink, Echo Slam, Baboka. Can he finish anyone off? Impetus there is going to just immediately delete him. He buys back, but he's got no second Echo Slam. That's the only way he could defend this one. He knows it's over. Throne going down. Winstrike have taken game 1.
Boy, was that a close game, but Winstrike's got to breathe a sigh of relief with the massive dominance they had leading up to about the 20-minute mark, and then just that huge team fight that IG pulled to actually equal the game up. And from there, it was definitely a careful game of Dota 2, and boy, was it close.
That was so tense to the very end. They had that early game roll going, taking all those towers, but it definitely wasn't the story of like Winstrike dominance from start to finish. It wasn't. Crazy close team fights in the mid game, a lot of buybacks coming out. Winstrike did manage to secure all those Roches, which probably played a big part as well, having those extra lives. But what a fun game of Dota.
It definitely could have been a one-sided game, though. I feel like they knew what they were doing there. They're against an Alchemist. Rather than try to focus on ganking him, they just take all the towers, and that also decreases farm. It's just that one big sloppy fight that they had where 2 of the heroes got initiated on, and then they tried to back them up way too late, and then they ended up losing like a huge amount of gold, like 7k gold advantage in the next 10 or so.
There was some great plays all around that. I mean, you can easily praise Q's Venge, saving people left, right, and center. 13 deaths at the end, but you can't really blame the guy. Baboka had some game-saving Echo Slams as well, but it was the side of Winstrike who walk away with it. Non-gratis Ench dishing out all kinds of damage in these fights. Iceberg 15, 5, and 14, the lead damage dealer. What a great way to start off this best of 3.
Lots of great plays across the board and fun heroes to watch. Not too different out of the meta, but that's just game 1, guys. That's going to put Winstrike in a 1-game advantage in this best of 3. The winner of this gets to stay in TI. The loser of it has to watch the rest of the event from the venue, and they don't want to do that. So we'll be back in just a bit with game number 2.
That's Winstrike taking game 1, but it's not over yet. One of these two teams will be going home, and Winstrike that much closer to saving their tournament lives. It is IG who have to win now. 2 games in a row, or they will not be seeing the main stage of Rogers Arena.
So considering how they played last game, I think they have a really good shot. It's just the biggest issue was their laning stage was a bit mismatched, perhaps, and Winstrike just kind of took that laning snowball and pushed it into a really strong mid game, but just made a couple falters. And from what I've heard, that's what they've been doing a lot of the games. They've been doing really well in lanes generally, but then they've kind of been losing late game. But that last match seemed like a good middle ground point. Maybe still a couple too many misexecutions in late game fights, but I think they seem like the better team, at least based on game 1. But that can always completely flip around the other way in game 2.
Yeah. It's one of those games where even though Winstrike won, I feel like if they get to that same last pick situation, this time around they might just ban Alchemist. Like, that game was close, could have gone either way, it was probably very stressful for them. They may just not want to deal with the hero.
I'm not sure, I guess. Most of the time when it gets that late against Elk, it does feel really tough, but XXS did have a really good Elk, I guess is maybe the one thing that I would counter to me disagreeing with you there, but it felt like they grabbed the heroes they needed to push, they grabbed the heroes they needed to win the lane, and it got them to a good place. They just needed to not throw that one fight mid. I feel like it would have been a super simple close the game out by 30 minutes, maybe 35 minutes, if they didn't lose that one fight and just controlled the map a bit more and got more gold advantages. So, I don't know, we'll see. They do open with a silencer either way, so good laning hero, good teamfight hero, kind of covers your bases and just goes a lot of different ways.
Yeah, something Winstrike have played with before. One of their wins did come with the silencer in the initial group stage, and IG going to respond with a Mirana, Venge. Sticking with 2 of the heroes from last game, feeling like, this opening didn't let us down too much. We can maybe make some adjustments later on. They have already made adjustments, banning out the Ench in the first stage. I believe IG's been banning that in a lot of their games, and perhaps they just didn't think Winstrike played it or would pick it in that first game.
Yeah, but it was very effective. Kind of same as we've seen in other examples, but also still having a lot of carry potential was a big part of it too. I do like the Venge Mirana opening though, just lots of range damage, chain stun stuff is pretty much always good. Mirana ulti is always good. Swaps covers you defensively. This is really just a jack of all trades opening, but the big negative is that it's still against a global silence. So if Silencer wasn't there, I would feel really good about the IG opening, and it's still good, but if Winstrike executes or initiates correctly, then global silence is always going to be the trump card to those kinds of heroes.
Yeah, Venge isn't the kind of hero that easily farms items to get rid of silence. If you're played as a 5, as it usually is, you're not going to afford a Lotus Orb or BKB very easily.
Yep. You just have to wait it out and hope that your allies don't all die in that same moment. Unless you get a Glimmer, maybe something like a Glimmer Force can definitely make a difference.
So Weaver, and this has actually, I would say, been their best hero next one dying. Winstrike have 3 wins and a loss with Weaver, and considering, these 2 teams are competing to not get eliminated, they're the 2 bottom teams of the group, so they've both won 4 games each. So 3 of Winstrike's 4 wins were with Weaver.
Well, that's encouraging at least. It is a little bit vulnerable to chain stun, but they are kind of projectile based, and if they don't get too many more, then Weaver can definitely be a hero that avoids some of those chain stuns. But offensively, he's pretty good against Mirana from the start of the game until, I don't know, like moderately into the later parts of the game. He's more of like a support killer, a backline hitter, more so than an anti-core kind of hero, but that's what makes him really nice with Silencer, because not only is he going to have good mobility and be able to punish heroes, but Silencer can cover him just by dropping global, so those 2 work really well together. I like that Winstrike picked it here.
Yep. We'll see where the teams look to go in response to some of these openers. Drow banned out from IG. Drow Weaver, classic combo going many years back when Weaver was played as a 4 position even, but also even played in the offlane. Very pesky when you can get a Drow Aura with the hero. Winstrike themselves banning out some of those tinky heroes. DK, Bloodseeker, heroes that are pretty survivable. Bloodseeker with a Blade Mail can be hard to kill. DK just has all his bonus armor, so heroes that are somewhat resilient to the Weaver.
Yeah, exactly. He's not really the highest damage carry is the other aspect.
Yes.
And Silencer are kind of the same way. Silencer are a little vulnerable. Obviously Global's great. Obviously things like Curse are very useful, but they don't usually keep you survivable enough, and they don't end up being enough damage to end up killing those tanky guys. So get those out of the game. They're the strong laners as well. They can make things happen against low armor squishy heroes.
And also the obvious factor, they have spells that kind of counter Weaver. Rupture on Weaver,
True.
Direct counter. DK has a stun that you have to get Lincolns against. We haven't really actually seen Weavers favoring the Lincolns build as much as they used to.
They buy it, but they usually lose with it also.
Yeah, Lincoln's
Good
is
in
an
some ways.
item that when I feel like I would love to see some win rates with for teams that have carries that get like Lincoln's as a first or second item because it doesn't feel good ever. Feels like oh we have to get this, but
But it might be a causation correlation thing where it's like, okay, we picked Weaver, but our opponents picked really good heroes against me, so I have to get Lincolns no matter what. And then
yeah,
they lose anyways because
that's
it's a
true.
good pick and they have to buy the Lincolns. But with that said, yeah,
Yeah,
Dragonlance into like a Diffusal or Dragonlance into a Maelstrom or like damage into damage while buying stats makes your time lapses go farther, and I think that's the best way to play Weaver myself. So ban out the tanky heroes. You don't want to deal with them until you get a couple damage items in.
yep. So IG's turn to pick now as they ban out Phantom Lancer with their last ban.
I like that. I think the solution, the biggest solution to like this stun and Imrana arrow thing is stuff. You need Haunt or PL. Get some illusions in there. Don't let your arrow follow up, and all of a sudden Mirana is just not the best carry. I think that's the best way to interrupt this kind of chain stun thing. I don't think they're going to pick a Spectre, but I think that's why we see a PL ban here.
Next Assassin picked up for now. Something IG have kind of busted out a few times. A few teams from the China region have been playing this. Serenity, most notably.
10 seconds.
Could be a 3 position, could be a 4, kind of flexible there, and gives you some setup for a Weaver who's maybe farming if you can catch him with the Carapace on the Shikuchi.
Yeah, and a second way to guarantee stun. So if he throws bugs as Weaver and it lands on Nyx, can he Spike Carapace reflect the bug hit to stun?
I don't believe so, but I'm not 100% sure on that, actually.
Okay.
I would assume maybe not, but I don't actually.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm leaning towards, but I'm not confident on that one, actually. But yeah, Nyx gets Invis, goes and looks for Weaver, so if Weaver is trying to play a passive farm game, and if they're trying to use Weaver as a hero that just kind of stays off map or split pushes but is difficult to kill, Nyx is going to be a good solution against that. A little surprised we haven't seen a Dark Willow squeak out yet in this series.
Yeah, that's been so popular and effective is the thing. Like some of these heroes, get picked a lot, and you're like, well, they seem okay, but not game winners. Stuff like the Tiny first pick, which is not being first pick this game, but was very much a go-to for IG in game one, is being ignored. But Willow, I feel like, is always having a big impact, winning a lot of games, and being picked now. No, they're going to.
Would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Tuss picked up to kind of give them a solution against the chain stun again. Now, last game it. Good in theory. It didn't really see it in execution too many times, and by the time he would get him, usually the guy was already very low or dead, just because IG was so good at throwing stuns. But it certainly makes it hard for IG, and it definitely forces them to usually roam as 5 is one benefit, because it's like, if I show up with 2 heroes in gank, and we have to use every stun just to kill that one guy, if Tuss shows up, there's not enough to go around, and he's going to be able to save him every time. So minimum, maybe it makes IG 5-man more, is one benefit perhaps.
Always like Tuss when you have like cores that can get kills easily too, and that's definitely Weaver. We saw the same thing last game. You have an Ench in one lane that's a very high kill potential lane, even before level 6, but even more so at level 6. So definitely something that sounds good on paper to me.
I feel like Winstrike's lacking major lane winners though. Like Weaver is good, Silencer is good, but they don't have anything that looks really scary to me, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, Tusk is potentially useful, but against Amrana, not the best.
Yeah, she's got the escape, and that's definitely maybe something where you don't want Tusk laning wherever that Mirana goes.
Like IG's basically just not showing very much of their hand right now.
Yep.
Maybe both teams you could argue are doing that partially, but
Yeah, the Weaver has that flexibility between at least the side lanes. Very rarely played in the mid lane, but also possible.
and I feel like this ends up benefiting Winstrike a little bit better since the second pick is in IG's hands, so they're forced to pick 4 of their heroes here. Winstrike's going to get 2 response, and they go for a Doom. Another way to just pretty much guarantee that you're going to kill a Weaver, or at least make sure he doesn't do anything. The hero is so balanced around his second skill, Sakuchi, that you can go invisible for 4 seconds or 3 seconds every 6 seconds. It's so important. If you just get doomed, you're not going to be able to chase people down, you're not going to be able to escape, and usually you just end up being easily killed.
Yeah, so you think the Doom is primarily designed as the Weaver counter here?
It's got to be, right? Yep. Like, it's by far
yeah.
the best solution. You can still, like, Tusk, Snowball save him a little, but...
They already had, I guess, 3 stunts, which is where it's like it seemed overkill almost to then dedicate a 4th pick just for that, so I'm wondering if they have something else in mind with the Doom. I mean, it is a strong laner. You're pairing it with a Nyx, so you've got this Nyx Doom too, like, melee, very tanky, hard to deal with heroes. You don't want to get up close to them.
It's just reliable, right? And it doesn't need a lot of heroes necessarily. And also, it's another initiating hero. It's a lot safer than something like Nyx. Blink Stunning Doom can just go for a War Stomp, and if you grab the right heroes, then it can set up your team as well. I just think it's good benefit, I guess.
It'll be a BKB buyer. Got to imagine against Global Silence 2 at some point.
Yep.
So we'll give some solutions there.
10 seconds remaining.
Also, if you do get snowball saved, if someone Doom gets snowball saved, well, after the snowball, they're
5
still
seconds
Doom.
remaining.
They're not going to be doing all too much.
I would say that Doom laning against Weaver doesn't sound good much at all.
No,
Like, you're not going to get hits off.
not
He's going to just go
amazing.
invis. If he throws bugs on you, you're already at 0 armor to start, so he's just going to do a ton of damage. If paired with either Tusk or Silencer, both of those sound pretty good against Doom. So maybe the Doom
Winstrike's
pick
turn to ban.
a little weird.
Yeah, so the Weaver has been played by both Silent as well as Non-Grata, and I think it was about 50-50 split. So you see this Doom, I feel like you are more inclined to run Weaver against him because of that. As for the Tiny, that's a hero I know Iceberg can play, but similarly can go into the side lanes as well.
Maybe a status resistance solution
10
as well.
seconds remaining.
Still no Necro in the game. We saw that Tiny was quite effective against the last game.
Look at all these
5
stuns.
seconds
I mean,
remaining.
Doom as well can affect, but the stuns particularly. You have Tiny on the front lines as like your scouting initiating hero. Doesn't matter as much if you get stunned.
They do have Venge, so they have Amp and minus armor, so that's one solution. They can kill him semi-rapidly, but if Tiny's in the front tanking hits and Tusk can back him up, then I think that's a better way than what we saw last game to deal with enemies. Like, Necro was useful, but can't deal with chain stuns very well. You do still need to move, cast Death Pulse every
10
5 seconds kind of a thing.
remaining.
I was expecting them to maybe look to draft more around the Venge. It felt
5
like this
seconds remaining.
amp up your physical damage, reduce enemies' armor, should lead to more of these ranged right-clicking carries coming out. That's what we saw some of the teams do quite effectively.
Yeah.
These BKB cores, yeah, you BKB, but my Venge swaps you in, waves you, and you get right-clicked down by like a Shadow Fiend, for example, was one of the better partners I've seen.
I mean, they still can do this a little bit. I mean, Doom can take a creep. You can grab an Alpha Wolf, free 30% bonus.
Yep.
Maybe Mirana
But
goes
it's like
more
who's
right-click heavy.
right-click? Yeah, Mirana can right-click. That's
Go
very true.
Diffusal or something.
And hopefully their last pick. I'd love to see that Shadow Fiend, that
Victus Gaming's
I don't know,
turn
Wind
to
Ranger.
ban.
Ooh.
Okay.
Now you got to kind of that's you've got 30 seconds to think because this Lycan is a hero they were probably not expecting too much to come out.
And this is certainly going to be what messes up Mirana. It's the things. They've got Alpha Wolf, or they've got Wolves, they've got Summons. Those are going to block arrows. They're going to chase down Venge in a lot of cases. They'll chase down Nyx and Doom. Those are heroes that don't really want to get mana drained or
10
right-clicked by a lot of little
remaining.
units.
Your whole team's getting run at, and Doom is not good against Lycan really at all because he's just going to ulti and summon stuff, and then there's no point dooming him. So they get an Invoker last pick. Whoo!
Okay, so this, if he goes Exhort, it's going to make all the stuns much, much better. On the bright side, Doom is going to lane well against Lycan initially, at least. He's a melee hero. Go for some easy Inferno Blades. Baboko will be playing the Nyx Assassin. And Q Venge, nothing
Oh man!
surprising.
So
here.
IG have not played Invoker all group stage long, and they busted out here. They're facing elimination. XXS, this guy's like, pick me Invoker. He's going to be trying to do his best miracle impression this game because there is a lot of weight on his shoulders.
I mean, they definitely have like carry potential damage issues, but this way at least they can go burst heavy. And if you're playing against a Weaver carry and you chain stun that guy or stun him at all and get a Sunstrike, almost always he's going to be punished until at least like the 20-minute mark if he isn't backed up by allies. So I actually kind of like it in this way. Like, it's kind of similar to having a Void and a Chronosphere. It's like you have a pretty easy way to kill Weaver repeatedly. They're still going to have trouble with Tiny. Lycan is probably also going to be an issue, but they've got stuns to go around, and they can pressure him in lane with the Doom. Maybe it can work.
Yeah, I even wonder, but do you consider the Quaswex build? Because that's probably a build that's better against the Lycan, but the Exort build kind of synergizes better with your team, like you mentioned. They've got so many sebs for the Sunstrike. You can kind of play more aggressive, but it also leaves you very exposed. Because once Lycan comes alive, if you get run at and you're an Exort Invoker, you're kind of just dead.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. I just feel like the benefit of Sunstrike is way too good to pass up, is the way that I'm looking at it, I guess. I guess Tusk can still save people from some of these stuns. It's not like they're invulnerable. But Quaswex is good against Weaver, drain his mana, good against Tiny, drain his mana. A lot of heroes that you can mana drain, but I feel like Exort is just going to be better in some ways. But we'll see. The game is surely about to start in just a second. We'll see how the lanes turn out. That's going to be super impactful. So Winstrike stomped the lanes last game, put them into a good spot. Maybe IG can turn it around the other way this time.
Yeah, here we go. One game first for IG, and then they've got another one, but this could be Winstrike's tickets to the main event. They represent the second hope for the CIS region.
Prepare for battle.
I'm sure the Russian casters here would be very happy to have a second team to get behind as well for them and their fans. As for IG, one of many Chinese teams here, region known for their strength in the Dota 2 scene and have done very well to have multiple teams represented here, although not many of them in the upper bracket. I know Newbie are actually playing on the other stream in some tiebreakers to try and join LGD there, but right now IG's eyes are set on just squeaking on through the groups. Early move down bottom.
So their dual lane looks to be a Doom plus Venge. A little scary here. Doom's going to run for his life. And the shards? No, they thought he was going to juke through the trees, but SRF realizing, oh, there's a Tusk. This would be a terrible idea. And he just goes for the wide open lane and ends up escaping.
Same play we saw last game with the 4-man rotation down bottom with the Ice Shards. IG need to set their eyes on the top lane, you got to imagine here. Q needs to be careful. Ice Shard should be coming up soon. He actually presses quite far forward here. Luckily for him, Tusk had already kind of ventured off.
The skill's been nerfed a lot anyways. 23 seconds, level
Yeah.
1. Good luck, man. So he's roaming back towards the top lane. This means they really need to get the bounty on Winstrike's side here.
Are they trying to contest this one? He's going to get there soon. He may be able to block the Nyx's retreat. Impale on Baboka. Is he going to land it? Who's going to get this one top? He hits the Impale and gets the bounty rune. It's going to be one apiece. Does Tusk get a good Ice Shards off here to pressure Baboka? Can't really kill him, I want to say. Lots of HP regen on Nyx, but could get some good additional damage and harass. Hit another Shukuchi, going for the body blocks. Maybe could actually find a kill here if he can trap him in an annoying place in the trees. TP out is possible. Baboka going to get an arrow to help him out, and he's going to start right-clicking here with the Mirana to back him up. Baboka's got an Impale soon, but he's very, very low here. May need to drop another Tango as both teams trading right-clicks here. Shukuchi has a very long level 1 cooldown, but aggressive. Realizes he's in a 1v2 kind of scenario with Baboka already running away as well.
All right, decent trade so far. In the mid lane, both XS and Iceberg has taken a lot of damage. Iceberg accidentally using a Fairy Fire here.
Okay.
Not the worst thing, but small mistake. Could add up later.
You can see our 3 lanes here. Q at bottom is going to be pulling creep waves from behind the tower. As will be the straight up 1v1 Tiny versus Invoker mid, and the what looks to be very aggressive dual lane versus dual lane up top from both sides. Tusk plus Weaver up against Nyx Mirana. Impale missing up top, so no arrow follow-up.
So it just seems like the same kind of plan. Just if you're Dire off lane, pull the creep wave around, especially when they don't have an ability to stop you. Like Silencer can't really do anything. You just walk away pretty much. And Q doing a nice job. He ends up only aggroing part of his creep wave. And as a result, it means that these 2 creeps are going to be fully denied and able to give himself experience. And that means less gold for Winstrike on their side.
Nicely done, yeah. And Doom can actually keep them here and keep tanking behind the tower until the next wave meets if he wants to keep the lane pulled really far back. Back at top lane. Oh, bottom lane. Venge is pushed very far forward, trying to get to the shop here. Needs to be careful, but Lycan is not really a hero known for his kill potential in lane. Some Wolves do go scouting. Could see some blocks or plays made from these as Always Wanna Fly continues the Glaive's harass. Gets Q nice and low.
He played that really well. If you can cast Arcane Curse right before your opponent casts his spell, that's where you get the bonus damage, and pretty much doubles the damage that your skill does, and he caught Q in that one.
Yep. Back at mid, Iceberg. 2 points in the Avalanche, going for what harass he can, winning the CS war early on against Invoker. This is pretty standard. Tiny level 1 with Tree Grab, very strong, very good at last hitting, has a big base damage advantage. The lane gets harder as Invoker
The
gets
slowest race for the regen I've ever
yeah.
seen.
Sunstrike actually landed, cancelling a bit of Tiny salve. Invoker realized he's going to lose the battle, and there was an Avalanche, so he just denies it. Smart play.
Not all bad. Always Wanna Fly also has the salve, pops it for the Tiny, so still pretty even. And XXS not even getting Quas yet, going for the fast alacrity because kind of needs to do this just because Tiny hits for 85 base damage at the start.
Makes sense. We'll see Tusk now rotating towards mid lane, so kind of see a return of the roamers, I feel like, at TI. People talked about this being the 2-1-2 meta, got to pick strong dual lanes, but we've seen Earth Spirit, we've seen Tusk, we've seen Shaker, a lot more rotations towards the mid lane with it going back to a pure 1v1, and it's no longer a 1v1 for XXS. He gets ganked and brought down by Asberg with the tree throw. Nicely played.
Yeah, really nice grab there. Hard for him to defend himself without Quas, can't go invis, even if he had the mana, so. Picks up the kill, so good start for Iceberg. And yeah, the roaming has been interesting. Seems like, I mean, trading heroes were everything. Even during qualifiers, it seemed like that's all that mattered, was to win your lane, basically. But now they care about other things in the game. Hero matchups, how effective you're going to shut down their carries in the mid game. Maybe just Dota has become a little bit less lane focused as teams have adjusted to it.
And back at bottom lane, a lot of harass coming out from both sides as Curse of the Silence going to keep coming out constantly, but it's back at mid where Iceberg actually gets solo killed XXS with the Chaos Meteor Cold Snap combo. the right clicks as well with tiny 0 armor just doing so much to him that it adds up and leads to a solo kill.
So now their net worth is pretty much the same. Game's even again. Silencer going to do everything he can to zone his heroes. Tusk looking for a rune. He's going to find an illusion. It's okay. Not the best. I think you can bring your illusions with you if you snowball, and they definitely want to go in here. Here's the avalanche first. Ice shards as well, and they block him in, making him walk all the way around.
Didn't quite get the block he was hoping for, but the Nyx TP also deterring them from going further. Carapace doesn't actually stun anyone, and both teams will back off as we look back towards bottom lane where Q getting bullied away by some summon wolves.
And because Baboka had to rotate here, and they didn't even go all in. Oh, well, we might see a Lycan in trouble, or always want to fly
got
here.
the swiftness aura from the Hellbear, and the right-click damage, one more right-click needed. No, it's going to be the wave don't even. The SRF gets the kill and walks away happy. Doom off to a good start here down bottom.
So with the Nyx having a TP, now that means Tusk can come back to the offlane and do some free damage to Marana. At least force out one leap. He may go for a snowball chase here. Yep, great play there. Dodges the Starfall. Here's this follow-up stun. He's in a lot of trouble, actually. He's got 2 more leaps. Forces another out.
That's so good. And aggressive should just not be going for that Starstorm. A good Tusk player is going to dodge that one with the animation. But hey, here's the turnaround. The arrow is still up. Marana needs to be careful. Out of leap charges. The Sunstrike actually finished off the kill, which is perhaps the best case scenario. Shikuchi coming up soon. Can Marana juke this one? Doesn't go for the trees here. Non-grata won't get the Shikuchi. Could go for the right clicks, but isn't quick enough.
And now they're going to fight for the next bounty rune as Tusk comes for maybe an Ice Shard to block
Impale,
it.
not there. Not needed.
So pretty even on bounties. 3
Back
for the
at
Dire
mid,
team.
Invoker. Doesn't have Sunstrike, does have the Cold Snap. Chaos Meteor is going to go for it. Does some decent damage here with the right clicks. Is this going to be enough? There is a tree throw if he gets too low. It's SRF back at bottom getting a kill onto Silence Lycan. The Fairy Fire keeping him alive for now. The toss is there and XXS goes down mid.
On bottom. Yeah, just barely staying alive here. Always want to fly. Losing his Lycan, but at least getting the Venge kill in response. Snagging his first into the game. Very even game. 3-4.
Needs to be careful not to get Sunstrike here when Invoker respawns. Silencer showing himself as well. That's the problem. Don't want to show yourself. He doesn't have TP for 10 seconds. Very unlikely gets Sunstriked, but
Doesn't want to leave
possible.
the flame. There's a friendly headdress.
He's throwing it. He's not going to land it.
Friendly headdress. He's got 2 mangoes. He's got plenty of regen here.
That's why Invoker threw that one there. He knew he was in those trees, just off the mark.
He's hoping for a Twitch clip. That's all. Don't blame him.
We were ready for it. Next time. Next time, XXS. First Invoker, you know that he's played all tournament long. He's ready to make some highlight reels.
I got a sentry in the lane against the Weaver. Help limit what is Sakuchi can do. Looking for an arrow on the Tusk as well. Be a lot of damage.
Sunstrike's there and going to finish off the kill. I like how he kind of leaves it for the Invoker, knowing that's going to be kind of the key hero for them this game. Didn't even try and right-click him down.
Yep, just a great way to snowball him forward and get him a faster treads and Aghanim Scepter so that their mid-game fights will go better. So that's really what they need. They need a lot of different spells to be able to deal with like Lycan units running at them. Even something like Deafening Blast can go a long way, and you don't always have the ability to get to defend that in a team fight unless you have Ags and can cast more spells.
SRF has actually gone for a max Scorched Earth build. Wonder if this is... I mean, I haven't seen too many of the Doom builds this tournament. I've seen it in a few games, just not the skill build, but I imagine this may be the way it needs to be played now with the amount of harass going down in some of these lanes.
Yeah, it's possible. Maybe a second Infernal Blade. Depends how much HP they have. Always want to fly in a lot of trouble once again here, but...
Non-grad up top going to be the first one. Oh, no, Shikuchi away on a sliver of health. Back at bottom, always want to fly. Also survives on a sliver of health. Back at top, Q slowed down by the curse here. He's taking a lot of extra damage and duration because of this. Lycan Wolf gets ahead of him for the body blocks. Q in some trouble here. The Lycan maybe needs to help out. Turns around for a wave of terror. Doom helping out, devouring one of the wolves. He stuns the other one. I don't think that was intentional. I think he wanted to stun the hero there, and Q blocked in by the ice shards as Winstrike will actually back off.
Ugh, No Fear ended up selling his Orb of Venom at some point, maybe to buy boots, and they're actually going to go aggressive now, wanting to kill Silence. Snowball's going to interrupt things, but they'll turn this around and go for him instead.
Oh, the Sunstrike not doing enough damage. Yeah, I think the Lycan Wolves helped tank it, and very nicely played. They will still kill off Nofi here. Silent being chased down as well by SRF, but the long cooldown on Infernal Blade means he can't really find his kills. He's got the kill. Oh, what a crit.
Man.
It's a 20% chance. He'll take that. He's got an Infernal Blade here. I don't know if he wants to turn around. He just wants to run. He's got phase boots here. SRF has been owning. He's 3-0-1. He's going to survive. Iceberg TP'd out of mid lane, which means XXS is like, sweet. I'm going to hit the tower. I'm going to do some damage, get some good farm here. And What a bottom lane for IG. They've had a lot of success down here with the Doom.
I mean, he's just super tanky. He's got lots of regen. He has lots of damage as well. And the creeps he's been finding are great. Found a Hellbear, found an Alpha Wolf, and all of that just makes his trades simple. He's also got a huge boots advantage. Lycan hasn't finished his boots, trying to finish his Helm of the Dominator as fast as possible. So he's just running around like 400 movement speed compared to the 300 of Lycan. And Silencer can't stop him from running at his allies. So it's like this dual lane is just very limited against Doom.
Well, it's overall seems like a slightly better start for IG. It is still Tiny well ahead of the Invoker on farm. It's almost surprisingly because they're quite even on CS, but Tiny with almost 4k net worth, Invoker a full 1,000 gold behind him.
I guess the difference is that Tiny has been getting some solo kills, whereas Invoker's just getting some little Sunstrike add-ons, which end up being like a three participation kill rather than a solo. That's most likely the biggest difference.
Yeah, his kills he's getting a small boost. So see if that changes now. He's also farming some jungle camps, which naturally just aren't going to give you quite the same amount of farm. Back to bottom lane, Winstrike go. Tiny rotating down here as well. Doesn't have a blink or Shadow Blade or anything of the sort. Could be tossing some teammates in, and Shapeshift is up with a Dark Troll Summoner. One of the very useful creeps to get here. 10-minute bounty runes coming up. The Sunstrike flying on out. That's going to land. Goodbye, Silencer. They're not going for bounty runes. They're going for the support kills here. Back to the tower goes the Doom. Unfortunately for him, there's a Lycan ultimate, and Winstrike want this Doom. SRF has been causing them so many problems. Got a lot of health regen here. Lycan's ultimate still got a decent amount of duration left, and that's going to be enough to get the kill. As Lycan does a very successful first shapeshift, and he gets solo kill gold for that. 550 gold at 10 minutes for Silent.
That's pretty huge. So let's start his Necro off a little bit faster here. Going the safe way back to safety, and XXS even TPing, not going to find him.
Yeah, he thought he had a kill there. If you're TPing out of that mid lane as Invoker, knowing that a Lycan kill is a big one to find.
I mean, there was a good 15-second window. He maybe should have come. I don't know if he had TP off cooldown or what, but that's a big loss. Gonna have to walk all the way back to the mid lane, and in the meantime, Tiny still gain last hits. One hero that feels a little bit limited is definitely Weaver, though. They've done a really good job keeping sentries up on the top lane. Feels like supports haven't been able to spend time there, just because Silent's been having a rough time. So if he can catch up, that'd be great for Non-Grata.
In some ways, this feels more like the more typical traditional offlane meta where Tusk has been roaming, and he got a little help top, but not that much. Tusk has been mid, has been bottom, has been prioritizing these other lanes, and we're not seeing that, hey, I got a dual lane, I win my lane off lane, like you often do. But it's, you know, it's honestly not bad, because I think Silent and Iceberg are typically the key plays for this Winstrike team, and both of those two are having a great game right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Possible Impale set with a Vendetta mid. Iceberg gets hit by the Vendetta, doesn't dodge the Impale after it, and now the full Chaos Meteor damage coming on through with an arrow as well. XXS finishes off the kill. Nice first Vendetta from Baboka.
And pro players are so good at doing arrow setups. I could never land these arrows. They just like know exactly when the hero is going to get stunned.
Yeah, you know, they communicate, though. It's something that doesn't always exist in the old pub games. Bottom lane, there's a Satyr that gets eaten by SRF. He then turns around with a Doom. I don't know if he's got good follow-up damage. He's probably hoping for a Sunstrike of sorts here. Doom has a Purge of his own. Where's the Sunstrike? It's going to land, split by the Wolves. Hit great play from Silent again. Nope. Can he get the deny? He does not. He went for it, but just couldn't quite do it. SRF wants more.
Is going to find the Tusk, but he realized at this point time to walk away, and that's a good snag. I mean, he devours the Helm of the Dominator creep, instant 200 gold. Yes, it's maybe a worse ability than he had before, but still gets the slow out of it.
The gold factor is definitely makes it kind of worth it. As top lane Non-Grata, he may not have had the best lane, but he's now got himself a tier 1 tower with the space being created. Doom even got to use the Purge for that kill, which was really nicely done.
I love the items he picked up. He went basey just to give himself more mana regen and his dual lane partner, and then he instantly got a buckler. He didn't go the raw HP from a vid booster. He just knows that I've got high HP. I'm going to be healing with Scorched Earth. I want to make the heal and the health that I have go farther rather than get a little bit more. It's so much better.
Oh, another arrow. Nyx setting these up. Didn't see if he actually hit the Vendetta, but you're almost better off just going for the Impale arrow to make sure he doesn't Shikuchi dodge it. And finds the Weaver kill for him and his teammate.
That's a hard kill to get, but good grab. Either way, Winstrike does have decent map control. They do take basically trading tier 1s, but also losing their mid one, I guess, so not as good for them.
IG is starting to pull away. They've got a 3,000 gold lead here. It's meant to be more like the Lycan team that's, you know, having this at least stable laning stage and turn that into a big mid-game push, but we're not seeing that just yet, and Winstrike may find themselves a little bit behind when they want to go and push some towers. Arrow, hoping for the Centaur, doesn't hit it. There's a lot of good things to kill these Helm creeps between the Arrow as well as the Devour. That's 2 insta kills on Helm and the Dominate creeps, which give 200 gold these days.
It's very different than it used to be.
Invoker XXS gets blinked on and caught out. There was actually an Observer Ward, not where perhaps Invoker will think it is, but across the ravine, which will spot him out there.
That seems to be the best one when you're looking to gank in that tri-camp area. It's like very, very unlikely gets D-ward. It's not quite as obvious. And a lot of vision actually on both sides. Everybody's got a lot of wards up in good places. They're going to see always want to fly TP back and instantly IG sprinting away. But there still are 3 Winstrike heroes hitting mid. They'll get the last hit on that one.
So that's 2 towers apiece, both sides taking 2 tier 1s. Oh, sorry. Yeah, there will be a third one being attempted by IG. As we'll see whether or not Aggressor can finish this one off. Silent nearby, maybe going for a kill here. The blink initiation from Iceberg. He's been good so far. The Moonlight Shadows there. Have they got detection for this one with the Ensnare? Is there enough damage? It looks like they're going to be close. He leaps again. He leaps again. He TPs out. He's still in. Biz. He's going to survive. The dust was there if he needed it. Iceberg, I think, had the right click anyways. And they make it home. Nyx is hunting for a courier behind the tower, but it is flying over some trees, so not sure if Evoker's going to find this one.
It's hard. He doesn't have vision either. His observer didn't spot it, so he's just going to give up. Maybe he could have made the assumption that it was over trees because his obs didn't see it walking down the lane like that, but it's still really hard to grab.
Yeah. Not even sure it was intentionally over the trees. Winstrike just happened to deliver the item by the very far left of the map. But
they're trying to kill the Weaver down here. If they can doom him before he gets Tsukuchi off, that's how you get the kill. But
I think Weaver saw. Well, you won't see this Nyx Assassin. Can they follow up the Impale with anything? They've got
to catch up for the
stun. Sentries there. Oh, he hits him with the Carapace, followed up by an Impale. Sunstrike there as well, but
too hard.
Winstrike Weaver will survive. Time lapse being used just to be sure, as SRF wasn't really able to follow it up anyways.
Yeah, they didn't have detection, so they could guess that he was there. The Sunstrike hits, but he's still going to be invis for another 2 seconds after that.
Comes in, wants to devour that catapult. Doesn't quite get it here. The swap is going to cancel Silence TP as No Fear immediately goes in with a Walrus Punch to try and save his life here. Q is in chase. There's a Sunstrike going to land, get Silent fairly low, who they've got to be very careful of Iceberg's damage potential. This Tiny has Blink. Avatar's combo.
Playing it safe. Aggressive is definitely the guy they can snag. But Boboka's standing nearby. No global silence.
Yeah. XXS is just going to be throwing Sunstrikes from the bottom lane, it seems like. Doesn't want to actually join his team, and he's doing some good damage. Alacrity on a Catapult.
Okay, that's good. I was going to say a bit of a weak rotation from IG, but no heroes lost. They do some tower damage. It'll be all right.
With Alacrity, it does 160 damage to a tower. 10 Alacrity tower shots kill a tower.
That's great.
A tier 2. That's not even
smoking through
out.
mid as well. They're going to try to catch the Weaver again. They just need detection. Put a sentry down, swap into the Doom, maybe a stun or something like that.
He's got the dust, and he does have time lapse. If he can time lapse off the dust and then invis, it could work. But they're going to find a more straightforward kill.
Not the one they wanted.
No, it's not. They were hoping Weaver left the protection of the tower, moved away so they could go in, but
that just felt like a sacrificial support thing. Like, you know what? We know they're in our jungle somewhere. They disappeared from top. They're going to gank.
They are positioned to take a tier 2 off of that gank. So even though it's just the support, it still feels okay if Winstrike aren't in position to defend down bottom, which seems to be the case. And Venge Wave, they're actually unsure about this. They feel like Winstrike may be around, so they're going to back off and continue to farm.
Well, he is ready to help out if needed. The TP comes in, Global's up.
Nah, it's a very low respawn.
Is a Diffusal ready on Weaver as well? I went for the experience talent, not the extra mana break, feeling like he wants to get more levels.
Tower's deniable if they want to deny it. Not sure that's the case.
Yeah. Not always something you want to do.
Yeah, you kind of bait with it, and also it's like, if you want to ever go farm that bottom lane, you can TP to it. It's not like tower's deniable, you want to deny it right away.
Do you ever play much Lycan by any chance? I was kind of curious why he didn't go boots. Seems like a lot of Lycans are going treads, but not silent this game.
So yeah, you either go treads or no boots at all. Like you don't really see brown boots Lycan. I mean, the gist of it is you don't benefit from boots in your ultimate. The downside is that moving from camp to camp can be kind of slow. But Lycan's base movement speed is pretty decent to begin with. It's just the amount it slows down your Necro 3. This is as a timing-based hero.
That's true.
makes a big difference. Like, he's going to have Necro 3 at a really nice, like, 18, 19-minute timing, whereas if you get the treads, it can delay it to maybe 20, 21, and that can often just be like another extra item on your opposing team.
And the damage difference is not that big between each Necro. They're all pretty good, but once you have Necro 3, then you have True Sight on it, and then they're going to spot Invis Nyx and also Pot Multi is maybe why they're
down bottom.
not doing it.
Gets gone on by Weaver. Could look for a TP out here as the Crimson Guard. Is he going to go for this? The Snowball following this one up. Throws the Doom on the Weaver, actually. Global Silence coming out as well. SRF should be dead here, even with the Crimson Guard. He's charging forward, throwing away his life for this one. Q in the trees. Doesn't... Oh, going to go for the TP. Can he make it in time? He makes it out. Good call from Q.
Just ran out of stuns. Only so many.
Yep. This is definitely the stage of the game. Ooh, Marana caught out by Tiny. Not going to go down. Stage of the game where things get pretty scary, though, with the Lycan push.
That catch was so huge. Like, Marana's not dead, but...
What a snowball. He goes forward. He dodges the Nyx Impale. He goes forward, though. Is this going to bite them in the ass here as Nyx Baboka trying to use his Carapace to keep himself alive, but that's not going to be successful. Always when a fly gets another +2. Pay for it with his life. Marana dies further back.
She got earned.
Oh, the earned damage over time. And Tusk got a solo kill gold for that. No fear. He's going to be very happy with that 800 gold bounty.
And not just Tusk, but Tiny. Like, he goes in and does that burst. He knows he's not going to kill him, but then when the next fight happens, then Marana's playing around at 40% HP. And he didn't even land the snowball on him. He went for the Invoker, but a little bit of follow-up and the earn charge, and he gets a kill on a huge core. That's the most farmed hero in the game. All because Iceberg set that up with a little bit of harass, swinging in from a weird angle. It's a really nice play.
Winstrike going to grab 3 bounty runes. We're seeing less of a focus and a, strategy forming around bounty runes. Last game with the Alco was like every time bounty runes were coming up, IG would smoke. Winstrike would group up to fight bounty runes. This time it's like, okay, no Alco in the game. Let's just play around towers a bit more. Because there's a Lycan. This Lycan doesn't care as much about bounty runes. He just wants these towers down.
Yeah. They don't have global for another 30 seconds. They'd use it in the fight 1 or 2 before. But IG's going to group in. Try to push and defend against this once again.
Sunstrike's checking Roshan to make sure that's not going down. Definitely between towers, you often want to try and get that Rosh. Not too early. Like, even though you can kill Rosh at this stage of the game, you kind of want to bring down the remaining Tier 1, Tier 2 towers first, just so you can get some better map control.
Better map control, more golds, less places for them to teleport, less places you need sentries, essentially.
Yeah. As for IG, they've got a pretty farmed Invoker here, so they're going to smoke up and try and make some plays. The Crimson Guard rush on SRF. He's playing as the Lycan counter with Crimson Guard into Shivers.
Okay. Picks up War Stomp as well. That'll be a really nice way to not spend a huge spell, perhaps, to disable some of those Lycan units.
Mid lane, Nyx is scouting. He's going to run right into No Fear's Tusk. Impale into Venge Stun, into Arrow. Sunstrike is there. XXXS gets the kill. Perfect chain stun. And good play from IG, but Tier 1 tower top could be claimed. It's very low. They may just backdoor this one. I believe that probably is the right call. Is it going to be glyphed if Winstrike are ready? And they will.
Feels like that cliff is so dangerous. Like right in front of the Radiant Tier 2. There's so many little engagements that start or end there.
Yeah.
If you're on the wrong side of that one when your opponents are there, it just feels like an easy engagement. Because it's like you just have this little... It's a wide cliff, I guess, but there's so many different angles that they can collapse on you from.
Here you go, Winstrike. They've got the Necro 3 up. They've got the Alpha Wolf dominated by Salin as well. And they're actually smoking away from the Lycan. Pretending the Lycan's got backup, but in reality, they're all going top lane. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like they're going to find anyone. Q's already TP'd out. And it seems like it was perhaps a bit too well read by IG what was going on.
Yeah, the ward spotted them too. So
yeah,
they did ping it, actually, but...
They ran past the Dire Ward with the Necro 3. Maybe they were just out of range. Sunstrike will scout them in the Rosh pit. This Rosh dies incredibly fast. They look to maybe deal with this Tusk who's in the trees. Here's their Tornado. This may just be too late. Rosh is already dead. SRF is going to have to just back off, and IG need to be careful not to get caught out here. The Lycan is going to go chasing here. The Tusk is trying to deal with some of these heroes as well. He gets a toss up on the Nyx Assassin, and Iceberg's taking out Baboka. They want more, and they'll get more. They get the Venge as well. SRF trapped in Ice Shards as well. He's in all sorts of trouble. This Crimson Guard will only help you so much, and with Iceberg's toss coming back up, or Avalanche as well, he's going to go looking for more kills. Doom out on the Weaver. This should be the death of Non-Grata. The Starstorm makes sure of it, but it's still a 3-for-1 trade, as Winstrike very low in health. Sunstrike, not enough money. He's got it now. Does he go for it? He's not going to land it.
A little abnormal walk in there, but a great team fight start. The instant blink punch from Tusk and the rest of the Invictus Gaming heroes are kind of forced to retreat. And that's the benefit of having Global Silence, and it's definitely the benefit of having these really mobile carries. Weaver can run straight at your opponents. Tiny goes for blink tosses, and Lycan the same thing, turns on his ulti and runs you down. And if all these guys are running you down and your silence, how can IG ever win this fight?
Yeah.
They have to like initiate with a Doom on the Weaver while chain stunning and killing another hero. That's how they win fights. And the silencer is just completely preventing that as long as somebody in Winstrike doesn't get out of position.
Yeah. The Doom Crimson Guard hasn't felt amazing, and it's kind of like this. It feels good if you're on an even 5v5 fight where you're both running each other's using spells, but so far it's just been, oh, we gotta run. Lycan use ulti Necro 3, we gotta run away. And when you're running away, it makes you stay alive longer, but it's never gonna like be used to its full effectiveness if you're not actually fighting with it. You're just retreating.
Yeah, in some ways I feel like he needs either a Shadow Blade or a Blink because he can't start these fights. And yes, if they have Global and they Global first, your Blink feels like a dead item and you die maybe too fast, but see if they can catch Baboka here. Tornado's trying to slow it down, but
unfortunately goes right through their snowballing bodies.
He has a DD. We'll see this tower fall pretty fast.
Man, snowballs go through tornadoes? What is this, Kevin?
I don't. It's
That doesn't
very
sound right.
compact snow, and it's a sphere, so it's wind resistant, something like that.
Yeah, sounds scientific enough to me. I'll take your word for it.
So yes, he's tanky on Doom, but he can't also initiate. It's like counterintuitive. He can't find the Weaver outside of like a Nyx setting up a stun while he jumps out of tree. Like the fact that he doesn't have either of those items, I think is crazy.
Yep.
Like certainly you don't get the plate mail on top of the Crimson Guard. That's just overkill.
Yeah, he's going all in with the defensive and lack of initiation. They're all reliant on Nyx, who doesn't have a blink or force out or anything himself. He's gone for a hood. Venge has swap level 2. Maybe we'll look into some of those plays we saw last game where it was the swap into arrow, where you just do those long-range arrows to where the Venge is standing and swap somebody on top of it. That may be the call, at least for the high ground defense. That looked very good. I'm not really sure that's something you can rely on outside the base.
Well, they're going to hit buildings once again with the Aegis. They feel very comfortable taking a fight. Global Silence as well, but always want to fly, doing the smart thing, hiding within trees where his opponents aren't going to spot him. And
this push is scary. Tiny with tree grab. Vlad's picked up on Silent. They are hidden hard. We're going to see it here. Tiny goes blinking, and the Global Silence to back him up as well. Invoker, he's actually caught out. He's way too far forward. He's going to die. He's going to be forced probably a buyback here as they look to go for the tier 3 towers. Crimson Guard is going to delay the push, reduce a lot of this damage on the buildings. No buyback yet from Invoker. As we do see a continued push coming. Top lane, Mirana's been delayed and prevented from TPing. Tusk is following, but it's Venge who's going to take the next spill, and now the Invoker buys back. Glyph coming out as well. Aggressive is just stuck. Mirana's not even here for this defense here. Luckily, they catch the Tiny with the Doom. He'll pop the Aegis. That may end this push.
yeah,
They're tipping SRF.
that was a bit of a questionable Doom, but they do kill him. They get the chain stun follow,
That's
but
a dieback.
it's over now. Like they have nothing left to follow it up with.
Mirana is still not here, by the way, Kevin. Mirana had been
whole
getting
time.
chased around the entire top side of the map by the Tusk. Not just the Mirana, but Tusk has not been here, and that's a much bigger loss for IG, who need this Mirana. They're tipping aggressive. Nofear's like, look what I just did to you, my friend. Tiny's in behind the racks here. He's going for the kills. He wants them. He cakes out Mirana, and no buyback as well. Both carries from IG are completely missing for the next 30 seconds. And IG,
Oh
they
my
GG
God, they're
out.
done.
They're just done. They say, we're going home. We're packing our bags. We're headed to the airport. It's over.
Oh, it's got to feel so frustrating to get knocked out like that, getting so many wins in the groups, but they did the least good out of the whole group stage, and Winstrike just ran them over in so many ways.
That looked like a broken team there. That final minute just said so much. The way they GG'd out, the way Aggressive got stuck, trapped at that top shrine area and couldn't defend. Raxes are falling and your carry player is missing. That was brutal for IG, and they probably went in today thinking they had a good chance. You know, they didn't have to play any games. They just got to sit back, sip on their martinis, you know, watch OG and other teams knock Winstrike out for them. Not the case.
Yeah, and I don't even necessarily know who's wrong. I mean, Doom owned his lane. He really did, but and everybody else played pretty well. Baboka was finding kills. They were getting Sunstrike kills. Maybe we didn't see Invoker ever transition, but the Silencer felt like it just limited IG's ability to do what they're good at, which was chain stunning in easy setups. Maybe not easy setups, but doing chain stuns, getting kills. And Winstrike was never out of position enough for that to even get close to happening. And everybody else on their team just got what they needed. And then they got Aegis. and then they just pushed.
I also feel like from the few Lycan games we've seen here and some of the other games, this hero feels very strong. When you can slip it in 4th, 5th in a good Lycan game where your opponents don't have good ways to punish him in lane and defend his pushes, Lycan can just win you games. It's like kind of like a cheesiest pick in some ways.
It is. It's like the melee version of Drow, kind of, but it's such a good pairing with Silencer. If they don't pick these like super tanky frontliners that don't necessarily buy BKB or get it really early, it just feels like an instant loss. They're going to run you down, and you can't stop them unless you spread them out or pick them off separately or make them waste their Silencer ulti for bad trades, and all of that is hard to do. So that's Winstrike taking the win in the tiebreaker, and that's going to put IG out of TI.
They will join Pain Gaming on the sidelines here in Vancouver. As for Winstrike, they will join their fellow CIS brethren VP in the main event. They'll be in the lower bracket, unlike VP, but they'll be looking to make some waves here at Rogers Arena. We will see them again in a couple of days in those BO1 loser brackets. As we say goodbye to you guys, head on over to some of those other streams, catch the rest of the BO2 action here. I believe a few tiebreakers unfolding. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we're done for now.